Shut up, fool!
Stop listening to atheist YouTubers.
Hey, man! This makes sense!
Yeah, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. To me, this was flagrant.
But I can admit it. Jesus drowned babies. Get over it.
I don't know why that still makes me laugh after all these years. Jesus drowned babies. Get over it. Who doesn't like a good baby drowning once in a while? Come on, be honest. I saw something hilarious. This has nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with theism or atheism or wokeness or anything. But this guy made me laugh. And I'm sure this is not real life, but I don't care. It was hilarious. Who's seen this? This is amazing.
I'm being honest with you, dude.
This is gonna go a lot easier if you're honest.
And I will, yeah, dude.
Yeah. What are you on right now, man?
Cloud9, what? Cloud9?
No, what are you on right now? You
One?
gotta be honest.
I'm on one, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Stop fucking around. What are you on right now, man? You said you're gonna be
TikTok,
honest.
what? Instagram, all of them. I'm on all of them.
I'm not talking about your ads. Drugs.
Sure, if you got some. Yeah, I'm down. You guys partying? Yeah,
Sir,
dude.
step out of the car. I need you to be honest with me.
I'm being honest with you, dude.
This is gonna go a lot easier if you're honest.
And I will, yeah, dude.
Yeah. What are you on right now, man?
Cloud9, what?
Cloud9. I like how he says 9. Cloud9. Yeah, Johnny, isn't that hilarious? Oh, this is what makes life worth living. It's not Jesus, it's drug addicts like this. I wanted to show something else here. I stumbled upon a channel called The Religious Hippie, and the Religious Hippie reminded me of a friend of mine's daughter who I tutored in math, and because it looks just like her. And by the way, not everybody's good at math. Sometimes you have to give up. I helped her a little bit, but some people just don't have a math brain. And she started talking about, I think she's Roman Catholic. Yeah, she's definitely Roman Catholic. And she's talking about guardian angels. And this made me laugh as well. Not as much as the drug addict guy, but...
Another thing that I really love that Gabby mentions in his video is he mentions guardian angels and Saint Michael specifically. We need to ask Saint Michael to wrap his wings around us and to protect us from distractions, because as we know, Satan will try literally everything he possibly can to keep us from mental prayer, and he will do so by creating distraction.
Is that true, Satan? Do you actually get into people's heads and try to block their prayers? No. Yeah, that's what I thought, because you're lazy. You don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
And so if we ask St. Michael to protect us and wrap his wings around us and keep us free from distractions, it'll be way easier to do mental prayer. And we should...
Now, be honest with me, how many people out here find that soothing, that idea of an angel wrapping his wings around you? I'm sure some of you people who live in California love that idea, right? But I tell you, unless this angel is a really good-looking woman, I don't want anything like that being wrapped around me.
Also be asking our guardian angels. We should do...
I think I'm allergic to feathers, too.
Do the guardian angel prayer. And really, we should be cultivating this relationship with our guardian angel, the angel that literally has been waiting for you their whole existence. For thousands, millions of years, they waited for you specifically.
For who? For me? Guardian angels for me? I gotta make a guardian angels me clip now, like I did with Tyler.
And you know how many times, Gabby talks about this in his video, how many times has your guardian angel just sat by you, waiting for you patiently to call on them to help protect you? How many times have you been so alone and you feel like you've been completely rejected by...
I wonder how many times people have called upon their guardian angel to protect them and then they die in a car crash or get injured.
The world, and yet the one being that God created specifically for you, you did not call on. Your guardian angel is there for you. They want you. Their whole existence revolves around you.
See, like about a year ago or 2 years ago, I would start seriously asking people questions like, how would you falsify? How do you know that this guardian angel is there? Couldn't we test it? Do we, ask questions like that? I've kind of given up. I mean, I now would look at this young woman and say, hey, if this gives you comfort, go for it. But still drive carefully. Still be careful what foods you eat at dark and dank restaurants. Because I don't think the guardian angel is going to prevent you from having severe diarrhea.
Cultivating that relationship with your guardian angel, I highly suggest doing this by praying the guardian angel prayer when you wake up, when you go to bed. I also highly suggest when you're doing mental prayer to ask your guardian angel to help you to point out things that maybe you're not familiar with and to help guide this meditation.
See, back in the old days, I would ask questions like, how do you know it's the guardian angel helping you point out these things that are problems in your life and not just your own conscience? It's a tough one, right? Bill Freeman, thanks for the donation. Bows respectfully.
And also ask your guardian angel during your examination of conscience to point out things that maybe you're missing in your examination of conscience. Tell your guardian angel your goals for that day. Tell them, I really...
Like this young lady is so sweet. And I guarantee you... No, I can't guarantee it. I have a sneaking suspicion that this young lady is way happier in her life than some young women atheists with purple hair and pierced earrings all over the lips and nether regions. Am I wrong? I think she has more hope, meaning, and purpose.
This virtue, but today I really want to try and persevere in this virtue. Can you help me? Anyways, the point is everybody should be doing at least 15 minutes of mental prayer. Everybody should be doing this if you want to become a saint.
Become a saint? Whoa. That's shooting high. 15 minutes, is that per day? That's not enough. Let's see, how often did I pray when I was a Christian? Like how many minutes a day? I don't know. See, I was a true Christian when I was a Christian. Oh, well, what's his name? That pastor guy is going to hate me because he says I was never a true Christian to begin with. But true Christians, they pray without ceasing, not just 15 minutes a day. And that's to you Muslims. You Muslims, you pray 5 times a day. Christians are more efficient than you. They don't set a certain time. Just whenever they want, they pray.
prayer is necessary for sainthood. So anyways, moving on to a more different topic. If you guys were on X or Twitter, as it was called, I don't know. I'm going to use Twitter because I just feel like everybody knows that way better. If you guys were on Twitter last week, you guys saw the modesty discourse. That was something. So for those who don't know what happened, basically I posted this photo.
Whoa. That's not modest. No, it is. I love that. Hang on. She posted that photo. See, I like this. Who here does not like this? Like if my daughter was wearing something like this, I'd be proud of her. Isn't that nice? And I think this can be very attractive even in the man-grabbing way. Like, if you want to get a man's attention, you can wear something like that. In fact, it's so rare to see a woman dressed like this, a young woman, maybe older ladies do it, that I think you would get the attention of men in the way you want, like if you're looking for a beau, a husband. In fact, I think we need some music to go with this.
And because of it, I got dragged through the mud on Twitter. People were saying I was attention-seeking, I was a trad thirst trap. They were calling me immodest for this dress. And I scrolled through hundreds of tweets, posts, and retweets of people dragging me through the mud. Some people went even as far as to say I inverted the photo, like I reversed the photo so it looked like I wasn't engaged. I am engaged. And other people said that Max should call off the...
So all those atheist men out here looking for a good Roman Catholic wife, sorry, she's taken.
Wedding because of this photo, and they accused me of hiding things from Max on my social media. It's really funny because Max knows everything that goes on in my ministry. He knows about all the hate comments, he knows about all the drama. We laugh about it together sometimes on the way to the grocery store. It's just kind of funny for us.
Next week, PineCreek reviews women in hijab. Well, yeah, let's, maybe we should compare. Let's see, what do women in hijab? Women, is that how you pronounce it? Hijab? High jab? Low jab? It's like a boxing term, right? Like, there's some really pretty ones. I'm not going to deny that. Like the hijabs. Like this. See, this is the thing. Muslims think that by covering up a woman, they can actually prevent lustful thoughts. But I say no. I say this woman's very attractive. And you kind of like... It's actually, in a way, worse than letting it all hang out. Because the imagination is way more powerful. Fantasy is always better than reality. I'll stand by this. Most people do not look good naked. 90% of people do not look good naked. And the other 10% are freaks of nature. Why are we talking about this? Anyhow, I'll open up the room. I'll start looking at questions. I don't care if nobody calls in or if a lot of people call in. It is open to atheists as well, but I prefer atheists that don't agree with me, atheists that disagree with me. on some issue. And then, of course, theists are allowed to call in. There's the link. All you have to do is click on it. I realize for some people they can't get it to work, but most people it works just to click the link. And we'll pin it here. That's not a hijab? What's that called then? Just a headscarf? Yeah, I guess so, right? Just a headscarf. Like when I was raised in the Mennonite church at a very young age, I left the Mennonite church, well, 15-ish. I'd say about a third of women wore head coverings. And Hutterites, I'd say 99% of them wear head coverings, if not 100. I like my pigs wrapped in blankets. Well, I haven't kept it a secret. Like, my wife still hasn't seen me naked. I'm saving something for retirement. Oh, Elias is going to tell me what that was. That's not a hijab, right?
No, hijab is supposed to cover. So you're not supposed to see the forms of the body, right? The shape of the body, right? You're not supposed to see it.
Yeah, but you know men, right? Because you are one. Is that true?
Yes, I identify as man.
Yeah. That's funny coming from you. Very well done. But men still have an imagination, and they're thinking what's the shape underneath that non-shape, right?
Agree.
Yeah. So
this is why it doesn't stop here. You're missing one point, right? Women are supposed to be at home, right? So when nobody sees them except their relatives, you cannot even imagine them because you don't see them, right? And when they go out, they go out with a, what's the English word for it?
Chaperone.
Chaperone. That's definitely not an English word, right? They go out with a bodyguard. It's called mahram, right? So it also blocks the communication.
Okay, but doesn't that suck though if you're a woman and you live in a country where you have to go out with a man? Like, let's say you just want to get some Band-Aids at the store or something.
No, you can go to the store. No, it means traveling. You cannot travel.
Oh, I see. So you can run errands as a woman, and let's say.
Yeah, sure, you can go to your local store. There's a hadith about that. It's allowed.
But there's men there.
Well.
What if a man sees this woman and starts imagining the shapes?
Maybe there's a female section for a shop or something.
A female section at the store?
Not to gender mix.
I think that if you start legislating and trying to force men to behave, in a way it can make it worse.
No, it doesn't. There is a reason why. So the most safest countries in the world are Sharia countries, right?
Well, yeah, I agree, because they do it by brute force.
And what's wrong with that?
Well,
no, not by wait, no, not by brute force, by the threat of the brute force. This is a big difference, right?
They follow through with the threats.
No, they never follow through because nobody is dumb enough to break the law because of the fear of brute force.
Well, let's be fair. There's some dumb Muslims.
Well, no, not many. There are more dumb secularists.
There's dumb people in general.
Come on, how dumb can you be to steal when the punishment for stealing is losing your hand? Like nobody's gonna steal with such punishment. Do you want a car that you're gonna steal, or do you want your hand? Come on.
I know. I agree. That'd be stupid. Like if here in America, if any theft over $500 or whatever, you lose a finger, people think twice before stealing. I agree. It works.
Of course, it works, and you want it to work, right? So from a utilitarian perspective, it's beautiful, correct?
Well, practically, yeah.
Okay, so what's your complaints then?
Well, I do think, like, I still feel a little uneasy about because and let me give you a pragmatic argument here. If you start cutting people's hands off for stealing, then they can't work, right?
But it will never happen because people are not stupid enough to steal. It's
No,
a
but if they
deterrent.
do,
It's like nuclear weapons, right? It's not going to happen because nobody's stupid enough to attack head-on a nuclear power, right?
You're telling me there's zero theft in Muslim countries, true Muslim
Not zero,
countries.
but it's most definitely lower than non-Sharia countries.
I know, but let's say someone steals something and then their hands are cut off. Now,
Well, it's not
the
like-
government has to support that guy because he can't work. Like, are you going to let him starve to death?
It's not that simple, right? There has to be witnesses, there has to be court hearings, right? And the witnesses, there are supposed to be 4 of them, and there's a lot of process going on, right? So it barely happens. It barely ever happens. Just
See,
like
my solution to this to theft is it has to start early. It has to start in the home. So when you have a family unit where you have money, like you choose to have kids once you have some money saved up, and the need to steal has now been lowered, and you have a father in a home, a mother in a home who are teaching the kid morals and values, then the probability of theft will go down as well.
You know what else will lower the probability of theft? Believing that if you steal, you're going to go to hellfire, regardless of whether it exists or not.
Yeah, I agree for some people that
No, not for some people. If you indoctrinate people from the get-go, from the childbirth, right, from home, right, when they were young, and they will grow up indoctrinated in this, knowing that, okay, if I do this, I'm going to go to hell, right? This fear in their head, right? It will lower the crime rates.
I do not deny fear is a great motivator. Most of the great technology we have in the world has come out of fear.
Okay, so basically we're coming to the fact that believing in a God that doesn't exist, let's say he doesn't exist, right? Believing in a God that doesn't exist and in a hell and paradise that doesn't exist is more beneficial for society and person than not believing in them.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't make people believe something they just don't believe. So, like, for a guy like me, I can agree with you that it'll work for some people, this fear of hell, but you would be very hard pressed to convince me hell is real.
Okay, maybe not you, but we were talking about the majority, right? The society in general.
Are you saying I'm special? Well, thank you.
Not some rogue individuals here and there.
I'm a rogue individual who doesn't believe in hell.
Yeah, but it's a fact. Majority of people, they believe in God. Majority of people, they believe in afterlife. It's
yeah, I think the vast majority of people believe in heaven, but I think it's around 45% in the United States who believe in hell or something like that.
Okay, that the world doesn't end on the United States, and I kind of doubt that statistic, and I kind of doubt that.
Why so many people trying to break into this country? Not even break in. So many people want into this country.
I can tell you why, but it would be a completely different topic for.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Well, anyhow, thanks for coming on, Elyas.
I didn't even ask you what I wanted to ask.
Oh, okay. You had something to ask me. I thought you just came on to talk about the headscarf and womanly shapes.
No. That's not what I came from. So okay. I'll tell you something, PineCreek, and you tell me whether what I just said to you is logical, reasonable, and rational. Not only logical, reasonable, and rational, but the most logical, reasonable, and rational action that a person can take in such a situation. Okay, so let's say I wanna learn how to shoot 3-pointers, right? Basketball 3-pointers, right? And free throws as well. 3-pointers and free throws.
Do Russians play basketball?
Badly, unfortunately. Okay, and I want to learn them, and I have the ability to choose anyone in history of human race, dead or alive, as my mentor, and I choose Stephen Curry. What I just did, is it like the most logical, rational, and reasonable decision that a person can make in such a situation?
I wouldn't say the most. Most people would choose Michael Jordan, although he's a real pain to work with.
You don't know basketball. Stephen Curry, I chose Stephen Curry because he's the greatest 3-point shooter.
Oh, you said 3-point. Okay, gotcha.
3-point shooter and then free throw shooter as well.
Okay.
So, is this the most rational choice a person can make in such a situation?
Yes, Elyas. Yes, it is. And okay, I know exactly where you're going with this. Now you're going to Muhammad, right?
I'm not dropping names, right? But we just established the principle, right? If someone is is objectively, it's proven objectively that the one person is good at something, and you really want to do that, let's say cooking, like, and someone is really a great cook, we should just emulate him, right? And you just agreed with that principle. Now, sure, let's go beyond 3-point shooting, right? Now we want to live our lives in the most efficient way possible. So it's logical to pick someone who's the greatest of all time, right? And to emulate him, whoever that is, right? Let's say he's an atheist, right? That person is an atheist, right? And we
like
choose
me.
him. Okay, let it be you. Let's say it's objectively proven that you are the greatest human of all time, right? So
I think the Wichita Home Office has shown that.
okay,
Anyhow,
so,
go
so
ahead.
we should become atheists following that principle. Do you agree? If
No,
this is greatest
no,
kind of-
no, no. Because
Okay, but you just-
for the
but you
same reason that that you said I was sort of a rogue person who can actually behave morally without the threat of hell. So maybe some people need to be different than me in order to behave more morally.
No, I said objectively proven that you are the greatest of all time, right? So it's like
Yeah, but you can't replicate me.
of course we cannot replicate, but we can strive to be like you, right? We can learn from you.
And fail.
Okay, failure. Humans are not perfect. You cannot be perfect, right? You fail, but you get up and you try again. You strive for perfection. But again, don't just like weasel your way out of it, right? You agreed on the principle. Right?
Yeah.
The guy who's good at 3-point.
You got me on the hook. Reel me in now. Get to the point.
Yeah. So all it takes for you to become a Muslim is for me to prove that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the greatest man of all time, right? Is this correct?
And how do you plan to prove that?
Well, there are objective criteria, right? We compare his biography to any challengers there are, right? And we just destroy all those challengers and we leave him alone.
You know what Matt Dillahunty would say to you right now?
Oh boy, Matt Dillahunty.
You know. Can you guess what he would say to you right now?
Some swearing words, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's for granted. And then he would say that to my face, and then he would stand up and get right into your face. But he would say that, okay, if Muhammad is this greatest example on planet Earth, should I get a 9-year-old wife now?
It's not requirement.
Why am I shouldn't even laugh at that. But
It's not required.
Should I get some slaves?
Well, slavery in Islam. Do you really want to talk about this stuff?
No. But you know the pushback that you'll get if you make this argument. You should emulate this greatest person who's ever walked the planet, Muhammad. Then you got to start saying, but no,
there are no buts. No,
child brides, slavery.
I can talk through this. Yes, I can defend all this. I can justify all this, and what my position would be more reasonable, rational, and logical than my opponent's position. Right? I can win all those arguments, all of them.
You think so?
I guarantee you so. 100%. Any of those arguments, I can whoop anyone.
Well, but hang on. When it comes to things like coitus with 12-year-olds, when you're a 40-year-old man, it's not about logic and reasoning and arguments anymore.
Yeah, it's about morality. Now we have to establish a moral
It's about
principle.
the icky factor.
No, ickiness, that doesn't matter.
No, ickiness, it does matter. This is why people, I'd say most of the time behave the way they do is because of ickiness. It just seems icky to them. And in fact, a better way of saying ickiness is these moral intuitions that humans have, that this is wrong. And there's nothing that you or any other Muslim can say in a modern Western society to change that.
I'm not in a modern Western society. I'm in a modern Eastern
that's
society.
obvious.
Yeah, but the West, you agree with me that the West is decadent. It's a bad example, right? West is doomed.
Yes,
Right? West is
well,
dysfunctional.
I don't know if it's doomed, but I agree with you that there's a lot of problems in the West right now, and
More than any other civilization.
I don't know about that. You mean right now?
Yes, it's the most dysfunctional of all civilizations.
If
is
that
the
were
Western
true,
civilization.
then people wouldn't be driving and traveling thousands of miles to get into this country.
Yeah, but they do it for wealth. They don't do it for moral reasons.
Well, right. Okay. Well, wealth is a big part of standard of living and how comfortable people are. So, yeah, you can't say the United States is the worst because people are fleeing worse places to come here.
But it's not even the wealthiest place, right? It's just the most easiest accessible place with above average quality of life, right? There are places which are much more richer.
Oh yeah, I agree. Kuwait is much richer.
Yes, but it's hard to go there, right?
I know, I understand.
Just go there because they actually have.
But this is where United States is where your dreams come alive, Elias.
Dreams. Oh man, you really.
You can come to this country with just your shirt on the back, and you can apply yourself and work hard, and with a little bit of luck, you can become a millionaire. Try that in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, the Bangladesh is poor because of countries like USA that colonized it. Not USA colonized it, but British Empire colonized it, and many others, right? And exploited.
The United States colonized, in a sense, South Korea, right?
In a sense, I think it's still.
So, would you rather live in South Korea or North Korea?
Well, South Korea, yes, that sounds better. Even though
yeah, so maybe the colonization actually worked out for some countries.
Well, man, that's a completely different topic.
Anyhow,
wait, let's shift to another one.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up though. I don't want this to be the whole show with you. Not that I don't like you, but I just we got to give other people a chance.
Yeah, one point. This freedom of speech thing that you're constantly pushing. Can you help me understand it? Like, why do you promote this? Like, this is genuine question. Like, I don't understand this.
Okay, very good. And I just want to. Somebody wants me to pressure you on the child marriage thing.
Really?
Lucas Rodriguez.
This is a morality question, right? You cannot, as an atheist, you cannot make moral claims.
Sure, I can.
Yeah, but it would be your opinion. It's like it's like one atheist says, "I don't want to pay taxes because taxes."
What makes Allah's opinion better than mine?
Well, you can think that, right? I can think that 2 + 2 is 5, right? It doesn't make it so, yeah.
But you were asking about free speech. Let's finish that up first. Free speech. Why do I value it so much?
Yeah, why do you push it like it's something good? Like, I don't understand this.
It's because that's how we figure out what truth is. So, for example, back a few hundred years ago, there was a guy named Galileo who said, maybe the Earth goes around the sun and not the sun go around the Earth. And there's other people who's talked about maybe the Earth is a sphere and not flat. And so many people got upset that you shouldn't say these things because now maybe it's less likely a God exists because the universe wasn't created, we're not the center of it. And so many other theological problems. But if you have free speech and you allow people to say things that make you feel uncomfortable, that's how we can actually get closer to this thing we call truth. That's why I value free speech.
But so basically you're saying that freedom of speech gives us access to new ideas that might be beneficial to us. This is what you're saying.
Yes.
Why do we need those new ideas again?
Because sometimes those new ideas helps prevent diseases and keeps people alive, raises standard of living, makes children happier.
Sometimes, this is a great word, sometimes, which is basically never, right? Very rarely, but most of the time, this freedom of speech, do you know where freedom of speech most of the time leads? It leads to, yes, it does lead to new ideas such as communism, new ideas such as National Socialism, new ideas such as liberalism, wokeness, pronouns, transgenders. This is where it leads. So the cons, they overpower the pros.
Okay, so your argument is that free speech usually causes more harm than good.
Yes. Not just, this is a crazy percentage, right? Come on, communism, National Socialism, the numbers are just staggering, right? Of those atrocities and genocides that were caused by those ideologies that were birthed because of freedom of speech, because those people, they were given the chance to promote them, to advance them, right?
Yeah, okay, in those cases where the free speech causes more harm than good, I think the way you combat that is to have more free speech and in the arena of ideas. So someone says something that's very harmful, and if people start believing it, it will cause harm. Another person comes along and says, no, what you said is false, and here's why, and they give their arguments. And the other person says, no, what I said is true, and they give their arguments, and then the public decides which arguments.
Why do we need this? Why do we even need public to decide anything?
Because it seems to work.
Work what? What is working? Where? Show me where.
Look at when did the Enlightenment start? Like the 1600s?
Enlightenment that gave birth to liberalism, right?
Gave birth to the scientific method.
Why do we need this? The world was just fine before.
Do you like cell phones? Do you like computers?
Sure, but we lived without them just fine. So basically, this is a hedonistic argument you make. Like, okay, freedom of speech just makes us, gives us more toys to play.
Would you rather live?
This is the argument.
Would you rather live in the year 1600 or now?
1600, yeah, early Middle Ages. I think this is the peak human civilization.
So if you got sick and there's no penicillin or no antibiotics or other drugs, you just die, right?
Well, and today I'm not dying, right? Today there are no like drone strikes. Today there is no nuclear weapons.
Oh,
today
come
there is no
on.
Chernobyl. There is no Chernobyl, right?
This is called.
Today.
This is what the liberals call whataboutism, and you're engaging in it. It's like.
Yes, it is valid tactic. It's exposing.
It's a valid tactic.
Right? Again, the bad things that I bring, that freedom of speech causes, they overpower your good things. Like, oh, but we have cell phones.
Let me try to resonate with your Islamic beliefs here. What if I said that, okay, I agree with you, free speech is bad. You're not free to tell me about the Quran. What if I started a country where it was illegal to talk about Islam? Would you be for that?
Well, of course not.
Yeah, but I'm getting rid of free speech to talk about the Quran and about Islam.
But in the West, you still can't do that. We cannot do that. If we speak about Islam like we
so would you prefer the freedom to speak about Quran and Islam in my country?
But of course I would. Of course I would.
So you're for free speech, aren't you, in that area?
No, I'm not for free speech. I'm only
in that one issue you are.
In that issue, okay, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Have a great day, Elias.
But we're shifting to a different topic now. Like who decides what is
half my brain tied behind my back. Just to make it fair with you.
You shifted to a different topic, right? From the original topic, you shifted to like, oh, who decides what is right and wrong? Who decides what should we ban and what should we not? I wasn't talking about this. I was talking about just the principle, the doctrine of freedom of speech, that it's absolutely irrelevant. It's absolutely useless. We do not benefit at all from it. All it causes, it just gives a platform to sick people. People who spread liberalism, communism, Nazism, democracy, representative nonsense, right? All those filth that is just ruining the planet, right? We don't get anything. And yes, the world was much better place without all this enlightenment mumbo jumbo. You cannot. Can you just pinpoint like tangible? Come on, let's go to the tangible things. Show me what did we get from freedom of speech? One good thing that we get good from freedom of speech.
The spreading of Islam.
No, bro. They were attacked. What do you mean freedom of speech? They were exiled.
Bruh,
they were attacked,
did you just say bruh?
Because what you said is absolutely ridiculous. What do you mean freedom of speech, spreading of Islam? Literally like tortured. Early Muslims were tortured.
Because of freedom of speech in the United States, we can have
there is no
mosques,
freedom of speech.
we can have the spread of Islam, we could have imams preaching on the streets if they want.
But that's still not freedom of speech, right?
Sure it is.
We still cannot say... was Julian Assange situation, was it like a
Elias, I gotta let you go. It's been fun though. I thank you for coming on. Okay. See, a guy like Matt, I shouldn't pick on Matt, but a guy like Matt Dillahunty, he would have lost it by now. I mean, he would have been swearing at Elias and red in the face. And here I'm laughing. I'm having a good time. You stay relaxed. You appeal to common shared values, and you realize that with a guy like Elyas, whether he's trolling me or not, you're probably not going to change his mind. So just have fun. Room's open. Well, actually, I'm going to change the room size. Oh yeah, sorry, Rodriguez. You wanted me to push back on the child thing. But you know, to be fair, that's been done to death. And it comes down to moral intuitions. And you got to remember, in the days of Muhammad, that was what, 1400 years ago, 1500 years ago. Whether you're a full-grown adult woman or a girl, either way, you're property. And all marriage was a business transaction between two men, usually. This was just the reality. And so if you were a wealthy man and you saw another wealthy man who would be a good provider for your daughter, you'd say, even if she's 6, 7, 8 years old, say, yeah, go ahead and marry her. Just, you know, treat her well and don't have sex with her until she starts menstruating. That was just the way it was done back then. And this is a prime example of how I think morality evolves. I think if you put Matt Dillahunty in a time machine 1,500 years ago, he would not have a problem with child brides. It's because he lives in this era today. I think if you put all of us in a time machine and blasted back 3,000 years ago or whatever, 2,000 years ago, and if you were middle class or higher, you had some money, you would have slaves. So take your high horse and jump off it. Realize that morality evolves. It's not objective. That we've learned throughout history that there's better ways of doing things. Now, but the issue is, like, some Muslims would say it's okay for today to have child brides. And I think for those people, you can just laugh at them because they're not going to persuade anybody. The only reason why they say this is because their holy book says it and their hero did it. But yeah, child brides, Muhammad, I don't know when he consummated the marriage, but doesn't matter. It's going to turn off most people. How does it change if everyone's okay with it, Doug? Hey, great question. This is why we need progressives. I'm a conservative and I'm saying this. We need progressive thoughts to challenge the status quo. This is why we need each other. But you also need tradition and stability so it doesn't end up in chaos. So progressives out there, far left-leaning people, you need to look at the conservatives and say, we need you to prevent this chaos. Like people going into drugstores and just taking what they want and stealing. This is a great example how we evolved to think differently to help, on average, have better communities. Thanks for the donation, Ancient Flames. I don't think I've seen your name before. How does any theist know God wants them to do anything without personal revelation? They can't. If you're talking personally, like very specific for an individual, it has to be personal revelation. But that gets very dangerous, right? Like Pentecostals are the worst at this. Pentecostals, there'll be a guy at church who, while the music's playing and everybody's all full of emotions, a guy will come up to another guy and say, hey, the Lord told me to tell you a personal revelation about me and about you, and then people believe it. It's like, oh, this is from God. I remember when I first came to Arizona, I went to a Pentecostal church for a bit, and someone did that to me. The Lord told me to say this to you. And I was still a Christian at the time, and I remember just laughing in his face. I basically said, yeah, right. And everything you said was so generic. You could have said this to anyone. Even Christians laugh at Pentecostals. So change actually comes very, very slowly. And sometimes you think it's, even as a progressive, sometimes you think it's going to progress in the direction you want it to, and then it ends up not. Like, I think the whole trans thing, most trans activists are on the wrong side of history. And I'll bet money on it. I wish I could live to be 300 years old or something, and I can look back and say, see, I told you so. Man in charge, why are modern conservatives the same as liberals of yesterday? I think there's ebbs and flows. I think there's peaks and valleys, and there's shifts. But I don't think you can say that society in the United States in general is becoming more progressive or more liberal. It depends how you define liberal. Because some people would say I'm liberal, depending on the definition. I think there's Cheeky. How you doing?
I'm good.
I got to get your video right here.
It's actually Waffles, but
yeah, I
the nickname has evolved.
It went from Waffles to Cheeky. Cheeky Waffles.
It actually went from Waffles to Cheeky Waffles to just Cheeky.
So, do you want to complain about something to me today?
No, honestly, I'm just bored at home watching you talk. And, like, I've been sitting here for 5 minutes about to call and was like, no, you have nothing to say. Don't even.
What did you think of Elyas? Would you like to be a Muslim woman?
No.
No?
So, what I was thinking about during that conversation is, like, I don't know, there's, like, this battle, right, between
good and evil.
The extreme of it is, like, feminist and red pill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They need each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, like, what is the fundamental disconnect? And I think it's choice. And that's what people forget. Like, your wife, I'm sure she will be happy to be, like, submissive and supportive and nurturing and loving and all of these things if she chooses it. You know?
What kind of woman have you chosen to be?
That.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which surprises a lot of people. Like, I'm not conservative, I'm not religious, you know, but I'm in a 11-year relationship, you know, so it's been a process. It's been like a struggle, like communication, all those things, but I just think it's very important, but it's a choice. And I think that's what people, like, I don't know, that's where the disconnect is. Like, if somebody chooses that they don't want to do that, like, for you, fine, fuck off, you know?
Do you think women are, in general, nobody knows the right answer to this. Well, maybe there is a right answer. But do you think in general women are happier if they're more like you or more like the feminist stereotype?
No, this is what I'm talking about. I feel like even the feminists, if they're in a happy long-term relationship, they're kind of like me. But from the men's side, it's the same thing. Like, you have to be vulnerable and, you know, I don't know, open with your woman, like things that you wouldn't do on the street with just any person. So I think it's like a two-way street of things that men and women both sacrifice to help the other person feel good.
So are you married or just involved? Are you living in sin or what are you doing?
Oh, I'd be living in sin for a decade, Doug. A decade. It's a weird question because we're not officially married, but we have a child and we've lived together for 12 years. So, yes, I'd consider myself married. Feels like a marriage. You know?
Why do you think you haven't been married? Because there's tax incentives, there's other benefits.
Well, I live in Colorado, so we could have been filing together, you know? I always test our taxes. I do it together and then do it individually, you know, just to see.
Did he give you a ring?
No. He gave me a daughter.
Yeah, but your daughter's not as shiny as gold.
No, fuck the gold. I don't give a fuck. You know, I got my family. I'm happy with that.
What does your dad and mom think about you living over a decade with this guy and having a child outside of wedlock?
So, I mean, it's kind of a funny story, right? I met him at 18, so it wasn't ideal. I don't know if I ever told you this. You know I'm smart, you know, you already know this, but...
Oh yeah, I already know that.
I dropped out of high school as a senior. My second semester senior year, I dropped out of high school.
Whoa.
Long story, all emotion and no anything, but anyways, and then I met this boy, you know, and had a baby, basically. So they were not happy. We'll just put it that way. They were not happy. It took many years to prove, like, no, we're serious, you know, like, we're doing this thing.
So let me ask you this. Like, I know you're happy now and you got a stable relationship, but looking back, do you admit that was a mistake?
Of course.
Okay. Now, this is really interesting to me. Imagine you're 18 and you meet me and let's say I'm your dad's friend and he hired me to talk to you because he wants you to avoid mistakes. Is there anything I could have asked you or said to change your mind at that point?
No.
Why?
I don't know, Doug. And this is honestly, look, you're getting deep. I like this.
That's what I do.
This is why I think I'm a liberal, is because of my answer to you right now. Like, I struggle with this, right? Like, the whole determinism thing. And I don't think it's like set in stone or anything. It's very fluid. But the answer you just asked me, okay. And the reason I know this is because this happened. So like I was an honor student. I played sports, you know, and I dropped out of high school, right? My parents hired this like college, I don't know, fucking advocate. I don't know what his title was, but they hired him to come and talk to me. He gave me like a personality quiz and all these things. Like he tried to do what you're saying. Like he tried to talk me into like striving more for my potential. But there was just something about the state of mind I was in, like all the things that accumulated in life that just wound up in me just like imploding at like 17.
Was it just because you were very, very horny?
No. It was about love. It's funny you say that. But you know, it's a mix of things. You know, like who knows? I haven't been to enough therapy to totally tell you exactly. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that a lot of people do things that they just, you know, even if it's like a 70-30% chance that you're going to do it or not do it, like those are great odds.
Let me change the question slightly. If you were to meet 18-year-old or 19-year-old right now, let's say they're going to high school or going to college, and they want to drop everything for this guy, and
hold on. Can I correct the record?
Yeah.
Because I dropped out of high school before I met my baby daddy.
Okay.
So like I dropped out of high school and then had 6 months of just being feral, absolutely feral, out in the world, and then I met my baby daddy.
Okay.
You know, so it wasn't like for him. You know what I'm saying?
But what advice would you give this young woman who's thinking of giving up education for this guy with no job, to get married? They have no clue about the world, what it takes to sustain themselves, be financially independent. Is there anything you could say to this young lady?
Doug, I'm only 30. I don't know these answers. I haven't lived enough life for this sort of question. No, Doug, I honestly have absolutely no fucking idea what I would tell a kid like that. Because you could tell them all the things that you could think of. Like, think of anything that would come to your mind. They're all coming to my mind, too. But that kid is going to ignore you all day. They're not even going to think about it for 10 years after you say it.
The reason why I'm asking these questions is because I have a friend whose daughter is going the exact thing right now, where she's going to give up a really nice education for this guy who she's known for 3 months, and they're engaged.
How old is she?
20.
She's 20?
Yeah.
Where's my face? There it is.
She's in college, so it's not high school situation, but
no, they're babies. 20-year-olds are babies.
But the kicker is 3 months. They've gone from not knowing each other at all. It's not like they're family friends or anything. It's just complete strangers. 3 months, then getting married.
Okay.
I'm not against getting married young, but
No, that's I got some thoughts. What I would tell that girl, I think the best thing to tell her is like somehow phrase that she can do all those things with that guy, right? If he's the one, if he's in it for the long haul, she can still go to college. She can still get a career and do what she wants to do, and she doesn't have to quit those things just because she's getting married.
Well, actually, she kind of does have to quit if the dad doesn't pay for it, right?
No. Whose dad? Her dad?
Her dad's paying everything right now.
Well, no.
So if her dad says, I don't want you to get married to this stranger that you've only known for 3 months.
No, stop. Look, my parents, you know how much college they paid for?
Yeah, that's good. I'm paying zero for my kids as well.
Big fat zero. Yeah. So like I took the Pell Grant for like 7 years. Like there is plenty of ways. It took me 4 years to get an associate's degree.
How many years?
I worked. Huh?
How many years?
4.
4. That's
exactly
average,
twice
right?
as long.
Oh,
No,
associates. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it took me 4 years to get an associate's degree, and that's when I quit working and went to school full time to finish my bachelor's. So I could do it in 2 years. But I only did that because I had a man that was like supporting the family, But still, like, it's doable. I worked many jobs and went to school for 4 years just to get a 2-year degree. And I didn't have to, I had no student debt at that point. Zero. Absolutely zero.
That's well done, but I would say most people are not like you, and
it's not about no, stop. This is where like you have to back up. You literally apply for the Pell Grant. Is she an American citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah, boom. Pell Grant. Community college. Oh, that's the second thing. Community college.
Yeah, but she's going right now to a private Christian school.
No,
college.
Fuck off with the private Christian crap.
Yeah, but she wants to stay there, right? So, which is very expensive. It's a private Christian college.
Look, you can go to a community college, get your education, and then go to church and learn about religion. Like, you don't have to pay an extra 20 grand
well,
a year.
I understand that. And I agree with you.
Just to go to Christian
but the thing is, like, these kids, and I'll call her a kid who's 20 years old, that doesn't understand just how much daddy pays for everything. And she's going to wake up after she gets married and realize that this guy she married, who's currently unemployed, is not going to be able to provide for her like daddy can.
So, the other thing, let me take this a step deeper, right? Because I was in this situation, right? Like 18 with a man who was, a year older than me, same spot. But like, I think the reason that we worked out is because we grew up together, but we kind of learned these lessons like together.
Yeah. They're definitely going to learn lessons.
But like together. Like, so they're going to do this, they're going to make it if they're like actually hardworking, committed, and all these things, Like, it might take a long time and she's going to regret all the time later on, Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's life. But honestly, I think it's just, I don't have very much sympathy for this because, like I said, I was a very smart honor student, lots of sports, and I went to a community college. I got my GED, but I kind of sucked it up and was like, this is my option. Like, if I'm going to make this happen, I have to do it this way. There's no other way to do it.
How well did you do in high school?
I was a honors and AP student my whole life.
So does part of you regret not finishing and going to university and getting...
Oh, yeah. Like, if I could write a letter to myself as a teenager, you know, it would definitely involve, like, just keep going. Like, I was also really good at basketball. People told me all the time I could have a scholarship, but I got kicked off the team. That's actually part of what made me drop out.
You should write that letter. Still, even though, and then send it to me.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Creek, for your therapy.
No, then I'll change a few words and give it to my friend's daughter.
Many of my emotions. Thank you.
Well, Le Chef wants on, so we'll leave it there.
Have fun.
See ya.
Fucking grill him.
Okay. It's probably an atheist. Le Chef. Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So what's on the menu?
Cheesecake.
Perfect, perfect. You know I'm a Christian.
Excellent.
So if you have any questions for me, I'm here to serve you.
First question. Have we ever talked before?
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, your voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm trying to remember, though, and I can't quite...
No, don't remember. No, amnesia is good for you. It's good. In this situation, it's good.
Oh, no, I remember now. 7-day guy.
My God. Yeah, 7-day guy, yeah? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, so I see you're back to your old tricks?
Tricks? They're not tricks.
You know what they say about tricks, right?
Tricks are for...
you know it. It's for kids. It's for kids. Or for kids. So you got the point, man. So how's things, man?
Good.
Are you succeeding in your effort? Yeah. Are you succeeding in your efforts of undermining the reality of Christianity, or
I kind of stopped doing that.
Oh, that's good. You see, we're making progress.
Well,
PineCreek, I have hope for you.
I said kind of. It's I'm more like, if someone wants to ask me why I don't believe or what I believe, I'm more than willing to share. If someone is willing to have me, let's say, interrogate them, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm more becoming a compromise type guy. Like
compromise.
Yeah. So, for example, what's your real first name? Can I know it or no?
You could call me Stanley. Yeah.
Stanley. So I realize over years of doing this that there's probably nothing I can say to change your mind about Christianity. So why waste my time trying? Right?
Yeah, but that's me, because I'm in a particular situation. I've actually seen the glory of God, so it will be impossible for me to. The only option for me is to rebel, and I'm not even taking that option. So for me to disbelieve in reality is not. I would become crazy if I did that. And I have no
so
intention of
wouldn't you
becoming
agree
crazy.
then it's a waste of time for me to even try?
No, what you do, because once you do try, because you tried multiple times, and I don't think you were able to in quotation score any points. So I think you're a little more confident with people who are not stable in their faith, or who are not really Christians, or never had an experience with Christ. So I think
but
you
I am talking about you right now. So like for you, there'd be absolutely no reason for me to try, right?
Well, there will be one.
You want me to try, don't you?
No. But there would PineCreek. There would be one advantage. That would give the opportunity for people to see. Look at this guy. He's nobody, and he's able to stand firm and not be shaken by anything.
That's fair.
That would give the opportunity. Yeah, so people would watch and they'd be like, "Hey."
So do you want to do that then? to help
Yeah,
others?
let's do it. Ask any questions, and I'll do my best.
Okay, so I just want to make it clear here that there's nothing Stanley's probably going to say to make me a Christian here today, probably. And there's probably nothing I can say to have Stanley leave Christianity. So we're going to go through this exercise, not for us, but for the viewer. Fair enough?
I appreciate. See, I like that, PineCreek. Now you're thinking about your viewers. That's good.
No,
That's
no,
good.
I'm thinking about your viewers too. Like let's be fair.
I don't have viewers. I have no supporters.
You have none? You have a channel though, right?
Zero. No, yeah, but the information I provided is not for them to be my follower. It's to follow Christ. I'm nobody.
So who you hope to persuade here? Like the atheists or other Christians who are weak?
Basically, yes. Yeah. Atheists and those who are weak in their faith. Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, where do you want to start? Like you said something interesting before, that you have to believe this sort of, because if you don't, because you've seen, what did you see?
Yeah. Everything that's everything. A lot of the promises established in scripture, like I know them, like most people don't even know what the rules of engagement is by becoming a Christian, what they're supposed to experience. Most of those experiences or the promises that God outlined in scripture, I have testimonies of personal experiences with God, and the fact that He revealed His glory to me and fulfilled His promises in my life is evidence for me personally, and those who were there to witness those miracles as well. So, but unfortunately, most of the people on your channel haven't seen these miracles, so I would have to use arguments and logic and reason.
Do you think if I saw exactly what you've seen in your life, I would be a Christian today?
No, you would be a rebel, I believe.
Okay, so it's not the experience that causes people to believe, it's something else then.
The belief. No. Me and you, we do believe. But the difference is, I don't believe you become a Christian, so you could believe and not be a Christian.
Oh, I see.
Like,
I would acknowledge the truth
Satan
of it,
believes.
but not follow it.
Exactly, because Satan is a believer as well, but he doesn't follow.
Why do you think I would not follow it?
Through my engagement with you, I've seen you. I think I'm gonna be as honest I can be with you. I think your heart is hardened to a point of no return. That's my personal opinion, but I'm not God. That's just my personal opinion.
But do I act like a hardened heart? Like Matt Dillahunty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he acts like he has a hard heart. Like he.
Yeah, and I believe he's a believer as well, and he's rebelling. I believe that.
But me, like, I'm chill, I'm relaxed, I laugh.
I know that's more dangerous. That's more dangerous. I think Matt Dillahunty, when he gets a heart attack, like people see the anger and the hatred. But you're so nonchalant about it, so that's more dangerous to me.
Dangerous at how?
Because if you're so nonchalant about it, it seems like you're, and I say this is my opinion, it seems like you're honest about your position, and that could be very detrimental to people who are not firmly established in the truth. Like if they see somebody seemingly trying to help them or try to navigate through the belief system and why they believe, and you ask these questions that bring doubt, then it becomes problematic for a person who's not really firmly rooted in the truth. So I feel that you're.
So you think I'm more dangerous than Matt Dillahunty to the
faith? To me, you're not dangerous, but to those who are not really established, yeah. Yes, yeah, I'm gonna say the weak. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, it's a good thing you're strong, because you're here with this powerhouse.
No, but I got weakness. I have different weaknesses. Yeah, I have different weaknesses. When it comes to ascertaining reality, that's not my weakness. But I have different weaknesses.
Your weakness is in kryptonite, I hope, because that would make you Superman.
No, weaknesses is I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn. So I have a lot of scars, and the scars is for repeating the same things that got me in trouble. So I'm stubborn in that way. So that's my weakness, amongst many other things.
Yeah, your experience was, I remember you were in a bar and you looked across. Isn't this you? And you saw like the devil.
I don't remember the bar.
Isn't that you?
The bar thing is not me. No, that's definitely not me.
Oh,
there's no miracles in bars. When I was in bars, I was being a.
Weren't you a DJ?
I was. Never.
Oh,
But I've been
okay.
in clubs, yeah.
Who am I mixing you
Yeah, I
up
got
with?
scars there as well.
Huh. Were you ever a drug addict?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I was a drug addict. I was going to after hours, speed, ecstasy, weed, a whole bunch of things.
And
Unfortunately.
have you seen Satan?
Oh yeah, I've seen him a lot. I've seen him like a personal manifestation, and I've seen him manifest through people. So I've seen him in bodily form, and I've seen him manifest through people. Sounds crazy, huh?
Well,
What do you think?
Well, yeah, definitely it sounds crazy. Although I've seen Satan too. He's sitting right over there.
No, trust me. Hey, PineCreek, if you've seen Satan, trust me, you become a believer.
See, now I'm about to ask you a question, but I have a feeling it's not going to land, or that you won't engage with it. But I'll try anyhow. Okay?
No, try, please.
Let's say you have a clone of yourself. Yeah. Everything's the same between you and your clone, except this clone is not a true believer. Yeah. Okay? And they've experienced what you've experienced, and they were also a drug addict at one time in their life. They've also seen Satan one time. But everything that they believe about that is actually false. They really didn't see Satan. They're not really a believer, but they profess to be one and profess these experiences. So how do you explain this clone? Why does this clone say they've seen Satan, that they've experienced God, and yet it not be true?
They would have to be crazy. That person would have to be crazy. That would be a mental disease, a mental problem. Like, here's the thing, difference between, I think you know that you're dealing with a particular type of Christian, like not your normal, quote unquote, self-professing Christian, is that I believe everything is scripture. So everything that I'm talking about, like you might find another quote unquote Christian who doesn't believe you're supposed to see Satan. And if you're not seeing Satan, because according to scripture, like if you're a child of God, then you're a child of the light, and Satan will make you his primary target. So if you haven't noticed Satan yet as a Christian, it's either you're really stubborn and not looking in the right direction, or you're not really a Christian. So now, me showing integrity to my position, it sounds crazy to people on the outside, but as a Christian, every single person should be saying the same thing, affirming the same thing I'm saying. You should have seen Satan, you should have seen the glory of God, and you should be able to see the manifestation of God in their lives daily. So we are the quote unquote crazy people of this world.
Yeah, and I think your scriptures even say that the gospel's foolishness to those who are perishing, right?
Foolishness, exactly.
But if you were to tell your clone, well, not your clone, just anybody, or some, let's say, weak Christians right now listening.
Yeah.
How did you come to arrive that this is actually true? Maybe you're the crazy clone.
Yeah, probably. But no, not probably, but I'll entertain what you're saying. Here's the issue. I thought I was crazy. Not crazy because the things that were happening, because I expected it, but didn't expect it from me. Like, I know who I am. Like, I'm like the worst of the worst. Like, my history and my legacy is a disgusting one. So for God to show me anything, like the promises, I already know about the promises, and I've seen certain things that I would avoid entertaining it in my mind. Then it continues and it continues and it continues, and it's like, it brought me to tears. Like, I'm like, okay.
What method did you even choose? A method to figure out if it's actually true, like that God showed you these things?
I was about to address that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was address that. So number one, when it's all consistent with what Scripture says, then already it shows me God is paying attention to me. But I had to say,
but hang on.
I'm addressing that. How?
Okay.
I'm addressing the how.
Yeah.
Because it also says in Psalm 34, glorious is God that perform works in the midst of man. So if I'm crazy, then Sam is crazy, Muhammad is crazy, and all the other people that invited me to their house, their family, who believe it more than I do. Like for instance, Sam, who got healed of epilepsy, he believes it more than I do. So when I was able to pray for him and he got healed, right there, and he had tears in his eyes, and I saw him 2 months later, and he said, I went to my mosque, because he's a Muslim, and I told him that you prayed for me in the name of Jesus and that you healed me. And he was alienated by his whole community. For him to do that is only a testament of, although I had doubt in my heart, because again, why me? But if I'm crazy, then every single person who believes in it, and a lot of people do in my city.
Well, some could be crazy and some could just be mistaken, right?
Yeah, that would be a lot of people. That would be a lot of people. Like,
wasn't there
how would you?
Wasn't there at some point? At some point, oh, I was just going to say something, but you might actually believe this. I was going to say that.
No, go ahead, please.
At some point in history, the vast majority of people thought their planet was flat.
Yeah, that's unfortunately for them. Unfortunately, but
so it can be possible that the majority of humans on the planet can be wrong.
Yeah, but the thing about the Earth being flat is not based on any evidence, right? So when a person is being healed, right? So that's a personal testimony, a personal experience that they cannot just avoid. Saying the Earth is flat is not based on any type of experience. So that experience is what you need to like. If you were to tell Sam, like, forget about me. If you would have told Sam what you experienced wasn't true, he would laugh in your face. And he's not my friend. You understand? Like, he's just a person I met just like that, but he would laugh in your face. He would say, no, this was not. And I give you an example why he would say that. Because he went against his mosque. He went against his imam. He said something that he should have kept to himself, but he didn't keep it to himself, knowing very well he would be alienated by everybody in this community. So what would you say to, you would not be able to convince him otherwise. Because he already
I kind of agree with you. I probably couldn't convince him otherwise. But I would ask questions like, Sam, were you on medications when Stanley prayed for you?
No, he didn't have the medication. That's the reason why he was having his panic.
And did he continue on his medications after you prayed for him?
Yes, unfortunately for him.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
So how do you know
and
then?
He continued being a Muslim.
And then how do you know God healed him?
Healed him at the moment. What he did with that after that, that's his issue. I spoke to him a couple of months. I said it. I spoke to him a couple of months, and he said I abandoned him. And I was like, yo, but I was smoking a cigarette, right? So I see him coming, so I know who he is. I throw my cigarette away because I was being a hypocrite. And he comes up to me and he says, Terry, you abandoned me. I was like, what do you mean I abandoned? I told you, follow Christ, not man, right? Don't follow me. And he's like, I gave him a Bible, and I said, did you read the Bible? He said, yeah. And I was like, so you're no longer a Muslim? He says, yes, I'm still a Muslim. I'm saying, how could you still be a Muslim?
Can someone who has an epileptic episode, it eventually stops, right? Even if you're not on medication.
Not while it's happening to you. Like,
I know, but at some point it stops. So how did you figure out?
Yeah.
How did you figure out that it was actually God who stopped that epileptic episode through you?
Yeah.
Or it just stopped on its own?
Because it stopped right while he was having it. That's why.
I know, but
I understand what you're saying. No, but I'm saying when it stops right when I pray for him, you know.
So you don't believe in coincidences?
Yeah, you could say that, but again, remember the issue is he doesn't believe that. That's number one, and number two, even if I had doubt for that, then you would have to explain all the other coincidences and all the other people who went through the same type of miracles, and you would have to go to say there's a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't believe in that.
It's very tough for people who truly believe in a coincidence or that God has acted. If you say it's a coincidence, they really hate you. I get that.
No, but I'm saying a lot of them. It's not one coincidence, you know?
Yeah, but
you would have to explain a lot of them.
The thing is, you know, life can be crazy. There's so many people on the planet. On any given day, at least one crazy thing is going to happen to a person, and they're going to attribute it to a deity that probably a deity you don't believe is real, and yet they're convinced. I mean, but anyhow, I gotta let you go. I got Liam, who's been waiting for a long time.
It's no problem, PineCreek. I appreciate the opportunity, and
we had a great.
This was helpful.
Yeah, we had a great conversation
for the people listening. So take care of yourself and try not to cause too much damage, because you know the more damage you cause, the more harder it's gonna be for you.
I
right?
build
So take care of
bridges,
yourself.
Stanley. I don't tear them down.
Bridges to the wrong path. That is okay. Take care of yourself.
See ya. Liam, I have a particular set of skills. I will find you. And when I do, I will kill you. Liam Neeson, are you there? He's catching up. What does Satan look like? Good question. I think I have a picture. Satan, you don't like your picture taken, do you? No, he hates it. I don't know why. Satan's good looking. But I happen to have a picture of Satan here somewhere. Yeah, here is Satan. So that's Satan. He is sitting right in the corner. I know it's confusing pronouns. He looks like a woman, but he's actually a dude. Very attractive, though. I think Satan was the first trans deity. Okay. Yeah, Liam, there you are.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. I was just talking about Satan.
Okay, so I saw this live stream in my recommended feed. I've never watched your content before.
Really?
But I'm an atheist myself.
Okay.
But I was curious on what you mean by woke, because I've been called woke before, but I don't necessarily know what you mean by woke.
Yeah, great question. I have a video on it. What I mean by woke is certain criteria. The biggest one is probably the sensitivity to certain lines of thought and conversations that it shouldn't happen. And so it's more of a closing of dialogue rather than an opening of dialogue. And so you see this often in university campuses where a certain speaker comes in and they shut them down, or they basically don't want that person there. Another...
I'm for free speech, by the way.
Okay.
I don't have anything against that.
So on that criteria, I would say you're not woke.
Okay.
Yeah. Another criteria that I have is a hypersensitivity to what I call feel sorry for-ism. So it's so hyper that, let's say you feel sorry for African Americans in the United States because of the history of slavery, but you feel so sorry for them that you almost treat them like children, that they can't handle certain things, that you excuse bad behavior. Oh, they're stealing, they're looting. Oh, that's just a form of reparations. You start talking like that.
I don't justify shit like that, but...
Okay, so on that criteria, you're not woke either.
I do acknowledge that there are environmental factors that contribute to that, because I believe that systemic racism exists.
Okay, that leads to the third point. And the third definition is, or criteria is, this whole idea of critical theory, that there's the reason why society is the way it is because of the classes of the oppressors and the oppressed, the victims. So that you do maintain.
I feel like historical evidence like shows that, because of like redlining, the Jim Crow laws, like slavery, the war on drugs, like all of that shit contributed.
Well, there's no
like,
question they're in
the shitty like generational wealth of like African American families nowadays, and it shows that they're still being like disproportionately affected by them even to this day, which is the reason why I still believe that like systemic racism exists. But I don't excuse behavior like fucking looting and shit. I don't think that's like reparations.
Okay. So you believe that systemic racism exists today? Like, there's no question that it existed in the past, but you would say that it still exists today because of what?
Well, I have shown studies that show that like employers are like statistically, like if they learn that whoever is trying to be hired at their establishment is African American, like the statistical likelihood of them being hired is significantly lower than it would be for like any other type of race.
But what's causing that is my question. Like, why does that happen?
Honestly, I'd probably chalk it up to like stereotypes. Like,
okay. And where do the
racism
stereotypes come from?
Probably from,
This is going to get really uncomfortable really fast.
yeah,
Just to let you know.
probably from the disproportionate crime, and I do think that's caused by environmental factors that a lot of African Americans are like grow up in.
Oh, when you say environmental, you don't mean genetic. You mean
environmental, yeah.
Okay.
Like not genetic. I think they come from like bad schools, lack of father figures, also gangs that how do I word this? Gangs that basically step in as like a father, like a father figure that they're missing.
Right. I agree with you. What causes the lack of father figures?
Probably the poverty.
What causes the poverty?
Probably the lack of education and crime.
Yeah, but what causes that? See, it can be an infinite like a regression. If we were to try to get at the root of it, I would say, and you can tell me if you disagree with it, it comes down to personal responsibility. So when I hear the phrase systemic racism, I'm hearing more like all of society and government is forcing a certain thing or doing a certain thing to a certain group of people.
Not necessarily, not directly, but they are. I believe they're doing it indirectly through their policies.
Okay, what policy?
Through the way, like the policies I mentioned earlier that cause the generational like wealth gap.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with you that there was systemic racism in the past. But I'm saying in 2023, what systemic racism do we have today? Can you name any policy or any law that's inherently racist against a certain race?
I have heard that voting laws, like certain voting laws that have been passed recently, like make it so black voters are less likely to vote because it makes them harder to vote. But I haven't really looked into that, so I'm not exactly sure.
And I think voting laws applies to
systemic problems have been fixed, but I believe that they still affect like African Americans to this day. And I believe the generational wealth inequality shows that.
Okay,
like this the black families and other families.
So you said that earlier, and I'm glad you brought it up again. You said evidence of systemic racism is the wealth inequalities.
Yeah. Right. And I believe those are caused by,
Could there be another explanation for the wealth inequalities other than systemic racism?
I don't really see any other factors that would really affect it as much as systemic racism would. but I'm pretty sure there are other factors that contribute.
Well, I can propose some.
Okay.
So imagine, let's take it off. In the United States, it's always about black people, right? Let's take it off black people and put it on white people. So imagine a young white woman marries a young white man, both unemployed, and they start spitting out babies. She's very fertile. He's very fertile. His boys are swimming. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. And there's no way they can keep up with supporting their own family. So they go on welfare. They have to move to government subsidized housing, or they are in poor neighborhoods. Therefore, their kids get poor educations. Therefore, those kids, and because their parents have to work like crazy, they're often not home because they work 2 jobs each, and so they rarely get good parental guidance, and so then they get into the wrong friends and crowds, and so then they drop out of school, and so then they themselves start having kids with as a teenager. Do you see how those behaviors can lead to wealth disparities?
Are you saying that like welfare programs are the cause of the wealth disparity?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the individual choices of the parents do.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I believe those decisions are influenced by the environmental factors that they grow up in. Like I don't think they just choose that on a whim. I think it's because of where they were born at and the conditions that
we all
they're
have
living
influences,
under.
right? Like
Yeah.
Nobody's immune to external influence. However, aren't there people born in very poor areas, have poor parents, and don't repeat the mistakes of their parents? Don't look for love and then get pregnant at a young age. Don't drop out of high school and they study hard, they work hard, they show up to work on time. They end up getting because they study hard, they end up getting scholarships to go to university, merit-based scholarships, and they end up actually getting a career, and they break the cycle of poverty and wealth disparity.
Yeah, I have seen like people who have broken the cycle of their families.
Right.
But I'm not sure about this, but I think I've seen studies before that like people who are born into like poverty are drastically, like statistically, less likely to get out of wealth inequality than to like achieve success compared to someone who is like born into wealth.
Yeah,
so I
agree. And to me, if you're born into wealth, that should not be looked down upon. That should be lauded and applauded and supported, because wealth equals options for kids. Like, who is against having the best education and healthcare for their kids? And if you are in a situation where you know you cannot provide that for your kids, then maybe as a society we should say, don't have kids.
Agreed.
Liam, you're coming around. So notice how this has been shifted away from systemic racism to personal responsibility.
Yeah, but I feel like the personal responsibility comes from like the environmental factors caused by systemic racism. That's how I see it personally. But I do agree that it also has to do with your mindset and the decisions that you make. That also plays a part in it. But I don't think it's entirely like self-responsibility.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree that there's external influences, and some people are born into a really shitty environment.
Yeah,
and they're dealt, like, I like poker, and so some people are dealt in Texas Hold'em 7 deuce offsuit, and other people are dealt pocket aces, and they both can make choices on how they play the flop, turn, and river. But you can still win with 7 deuce, and you can still lose with pocket aces. And this is why I'm a conservative, because I lean towards that the locus, the center of choice starts from within rather than, oh, I'm a victim to my external circumstances. Well, let me ask you this. What do you think is easier to control, yourself or the people around you?
Definitely myself.
Yeah. And anybody who answers that way, whether they like it or not, some people answer the opposite, by the way, so it's not always the one way. But if you answer that way, you lean conservative.
I'd more consider myself like center left, like
not after today's discussion.
I'm a progressive socialist.
Okay, and I got nothing wrong with progressive socialists, but anyhow, I got a guy named Peter who wants in.
All right. It was nice talking with you. I really liked this discussion. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I liked it too, and I hope you keep watching, and maybe we'll talk again someday.
All right, later.
Oh, the people on the left are going to hate me because that was a good conversation. Peter. Oh, I there's two Peters this could be. You're either the European Peter.
I am. I am your father.
And you're going to hate the conversation I just had, right?
I'm going to educate you. So, definitions. Conservative means not what you're saying. It says, it's from the French Revolution. Conservatives say, rightfully, that no one can predict, in a complex world which we live in, the effect of a law or a change. So let's go slow. Because even though
Peter, I gave my definition of conservative, at least one.
That was wrong. Conservatism is not conserving per se, just because.
My definition was wrong.
Yes. I mean, either words have meanings inside. Well, yours. I'm Eastern European, so mine can't be. And I'm so very okay. Ignore that.
So if I define a man as someone who identifies as a man, can that definition be wrong?
Can we not change the subject? Everything can be wrong if I don't say it. And even if I said it yesterday, it might be because currently what I think is the absolute truth. People have opinions. I don't have time for that. I'm just saying. Anyway, so wokeness was supposed to be anti-racism, anti-misogyny, anti-homophobia. So versus just not being racist, wokeness originally it's just a label. And doesn't matter, but it meant like instead of just not being racist, let's be anti-racist. Okay, and you can strawman it to be a movement against.
Again, I define
speech.
Wokeness. I'm defining my terms of how I'm using those words. You can disagree with it.
I understand,
that's fine.
but what if I redefine the word I? I mean, words have meanings, and they are vague, and they are cloud.
I'm not making up these definitions out of thin air. I got reasons to define it that way.
I know, but so this is what the radical part of the politics, which calls themselves conservative, which I find very funny, because they are the opposite, which is the Republican Party in your current country. They're very radical. They want to extremely change society about abortion and this and that. And they say, and they want to muffle voices. And they actually are against free speech in the name of God.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because people assume that when I say someone's woke, that they have to be left-leaning, and that's not true.
I think people, because of these tactics with language, should give up labels. Because if I allow you to define liberal, then from that point, probably I'm not. And I don't want to adhere to anything. I can explain myself very clearly about what I think about a thing. And these traps, like,
that's what I did.
Okay, so ignore
You're
that.
Me.
Well, in a lot of ways, just not as handsome. But the other thing, like, I know you're gonna say that I'm dead inside, and I mean, in the midterm, everyone's dead. So what's the difference? But instead of coming up with the examples that come from your bias, if you're interested in systematic racism, do research. Don't cherry pick, because the thing is, slavery wasn't 200 like 500 years ago. It was a couple of generations ago. Just like anybody could be a royal in England, but funnily, it's always the same family. People who were born in 1880 were slaves if they were black, and of course they cannot come back from that as easily. And it's true, Charlie Parker or Magic Johnson can, but it's not. It's like you have like the one in power will always be a little bit. I'll give you another example. 100 years ago, it was
Hey,
okay.
Peter, you're just bloviating and preaching right now.
Yes, I'm educating is what I call it. So basically, systematic racism is in existence. It's not as.
Do you want to stay here? Do you want to stay on my channel, or do you want me to just boot you?
Why would you? It was a joke. I thought you got my.
No, I'm not joking. You're just bloviating.
Sorry, then.
Fortunately, I've been doing other things like blocking spammers in the live stream chat because there's a whole bunch of them. So I got things to do. But you're boring me to death. Do you have a question?
No, I wanted to. But
you wanted to educate me.
What? I wanted to explain why I think you're wrong about this. Like how you explain away systematic racism.
Okay, do that in like 60 seconds or less.
People don't come from the same backgrounds, and slavery existed too soon to our times.
I agree.
That you can just take it away from that. Like, so the effects of that are still here.
Okay, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Then that's what the manifestation of that in current society is what we call systematic racism.
Okay, so you think that that what you're saying is that because of the history of slavery, that this causes people to have negative effects?
Yes, like what you pointed out with the previous caller about education.
Yeah.
It's not just in schools, but also from families. Like
yeah, I understand, Peter, but now answer my question.
Okay.
Are there negative effects from putting Asians into concentration camps during World War II?
Of course.
Yeah. Is there a wealth disparity between Asians on average and white people in the United States?
I'm guessing. I don't know, but I'm guessing yes.
You're right.
I don't know.
There is wealth disparity. Asians have an average higher net worth than white people. Do you know that?
Now, yeah, I didn't know that. I'm just saying
you
that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so now if your hypothesis is true about systemic racism, how do you explain Asians?
Well, you understand. Like, I think you can explain it yourself.
Yeah, culture.
But also the host society's culture. So, for example, an Eastern European immigrant, I know that, so I'm gonna. A lot of them have Nobel Prizes and go and create Warner Brothers, but they come from societies that educated them. In Asia, in China at least, there is public education. They don't come from the same background, but that's. You see, I don't want to make this mistake. I don't know exactly what I'm talking about. This is not a theoretical question. This is a data question. I should know, and you should know as well, what exactly happens. It's very irresponsible for me just to come up with something because I have my own bias. So my answer should have been, we need to actually look into it, not just.
I have looked into it at least a little bit, and so let me help you. The pushback to my comment about Asians is that, well, it was for a shorter amount of time. It was in the middle of the 20th century. It wasn't as severe compared to the slavery of the African Americans from 200 years ago. That's the pushback. To which I retort, well, then we should at least see some type of proportionality. If, let's say, the abuses towards African Americans due to slavery in the United States is 10 out of 10 and Asians is 5 out of 10, you would still expect some type of systemic racism and negative outcomes, at least half as bad as it is the inequalities in African Americans. And guess what? You don't see that proportionality. So, which makes me think that what's really going on here is a cultural phenomenon that Asians tend to value education more than African Americans.
Isn't that cultural? Isn't that
yeah?
what...
I just said that cultural. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that's like I have a friend who's Norwegian but was a baby in Korea, so she doesn't have any culture from Korea. As a baby, she was taken to Norway. She acts completely as a Norwegian, and she has the Norwegian culture. What I'm trying to say is that Asians don't come from the moon; they come from Asia, and I assume that the culture that they like, it's not genetic,
Yes.
just like. So
I
that
agree.
means that the culture that you raise your black people, and it's always, and the power is always in the majority oppressive hand. It's really hard from like women.
Who's the oppressor in the United States?
The majority.
And who's the majority?
That's almost all the time the Republican Party.
Well, in terms of race, because we're talking about systemic racism.
I don't think it's a yes, but I don't think it's like I don't think you have a say. I don't think it's about white people. It's about political figures. And the system. That's why I call it systemic, not cultural. It's in the interest of certain, and sometimes even the Democrats, but some politicians.
Peter, you came in here so full of energy, and you wanted to educate me, and now I think you don't even know what to say now. You're just saying, "Oh, Republicans' fault."
No, I'm saying it's the politicians' fault. I can go into politics. I can recommend you.
So it's the politicians'
I'm really
fault.
filtering now, not to be educational, but yeah, because I'm gonna say something that is not nice. I know a lot more about this than I know the mathematics of it. I just don't know now how not to offend you.
What's the politicians' fault?
It's in an interest of a non-proportional voting country will always have this phenomenon of preferring an extreme base and keeping that up versus serving the majorities of the people.
Peter, I'm getting frustrated with you.
I know, but it's complicated, and it's some things are just not as trivial as that. Like,
I'm going to have to let you go because you're jumping all over the place now. And I asked you, what is the politicians' fault?
That they keep it up.
They keep what up?
The systemic racism, because then they can point to problems to various countries.
But they don't do it with Asians. They only do it with African Americans.
Depends on the time and the age. There are archetypes like the Jews, the black people, women, gay people.
Let's talk about the Jews. You think the Jews are hurting the United States?
Well, I mean, when you kill people in a synagogue because they are Jews, then yes, they are. Not all of them. Just like Michael Jordan is not suffering as much.
Jewish people in the United States are some of the most successful people in the United States.
Well, that's a stereotype. That's not actually true. You look at the successful ones and you remember them. It's just not true.
Well,
you have
based on financial. I think I can. You want proof?
I come. All right.
I think they have that data out.
There are a lot of websites that say that.
Yeah,
but actually,
there's Pew studies.
You know what I mean? Like some of them even have instructions how to raise your hand.
The average household income in the United States. Hang on. Wealth and religion in the United States.
Can I ask you something while you're looking? Do you think that the comments that Kanye West or Donald Trump makes are anti-Semitic? Not all of them.
I'm sure some are, yeah.
When they,
but you know what? I bet you
president
but hang on, Peter. Peter,
Okay.
I
Go
would
on.
say most Jews don't even care what Kanye West says. And they can say, go ahead and say all the anti-Semitic things you want, doesn't make a dent. Because they're doing so well in the United States. The Jewish people in the United States have the highest annual income. This is an old study, but this is on the fly. Jehovah's Witnesses are the worst. Pentecostals are down there. Hindus are up there. Yeah.
But this is
where's the systemic racism against the Jews?
Well,
against
Jewish
the Asians?
Judaism is a religion, and
Some
Jewish
people call
is,
it a race as well.
I call it that because of it. It is that most atheism was started by Jews in Europe, so that doesn't even make anyway. But I mean, it's up to you if you want to actually open your eyes and look in, like, not just
Peter,
pick someday.
why do you say it that way? If you really want to open your eyes, you're making it sound
Because,
like you have this truth that everybody needs to know, and that you are right, and that you can't be wrong about anything. That what I'm saying is definitely wrong. And if Doug, if you just opened your eyes and listened to me, you would understand how wrong you are. Right?
I'm sorry about that. Except that what I wanted to say, if you study, like there's science.
If Doug,
to it,
you
like,
only studied, you gave no responses to my questions about the Asians and the Jews. You just move on to a different topic.
Okay, but I did actually. But okay, so go on. I asked you.
If
like you
systemic
said that-
racism is a problem in the United States, why do Jews and Asians make so much money here?
So again, I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
But
Fair
even
enough.
But I don't think systemic racism is about people making a lot of money.
Isn't it about wealth disparities, inequalities? Doesn't
It
systemic
is that
racism
too.
cause that?
It is that too. But it's not just that. If you kill people, which not you, but like in
How many
America,
Jews have died in the United States because they're Jews?
in the last year?
Yeah. Are we talking 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You think-
what's your limit?
What's
when is
how
it?
many? I mean,
how many people should die because of their
the United
race
States
or
has
religion?
350 million people. It's a big country. You're going
How
to
many
have people kill
How
each
many
other
people
once in a
died?
while.
Okay, so 10 Jews. How many people died because they're Anglo-Saxon?
Actually, I'd say a lot more than 10. Peter, sorry I let you go there, but I heard your question. You just asked me how many people died in the United States last year because they're white. Now, this is hard to prove, but I bet you it's more than 10. Ugh. In fact, I just saw a video the other day of 2 young African Americans just plowing over a white guy on a bicycle. It was horrendous.
That doesn't sound good.
No.
Not at
Missed
all.
you at poker.
Oh, you remember. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been very busy, I guess, but I guess not busy enough to not call in right now. So I don't have much of an excuse. I was just curious, like some of the thing, I agree with some of like what I was like, didn't listen to the first part of your stream, I guess, but I listened to like Liam and Peter. I think I'm probably similar to Liam on a lot of things, but the whole thing with like you brought up like Asians versus like black people in America, and I feel like you should like one of your criticisms of what people talk about like with black culture, right, is that, you know, the black culture is very diverse, and they're like immigrants who are black and not necessarily African American, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's a difference.
So I feel like you should, like, if you're gonna, like, I think you should do that and give the like Asian population the same treatment, right? And I think if you're gonna try to compare apples to apples, on like the slavery versus Asians, you should look at like Asians who had,
I agree,
like, their ancestors put in internment camps.
Right, I agree. But the thing is, when you look at, when people talk about wealth disparities in the United States, there's only one box to check. Like when you IRS reporting or whatever, you know, Hispanic, not white, or whatever.
Yeah, you
white,
won't get data
like,
on.
Yeah, and so basically, you're looking at the whole basket and so I'm comparing the same baskets, apples to apples. Asians.
Okay.
Even though I agree with
Don't say the same basket, apples to apples, when you know both baskets have a bunch of different fruits in them. It's like guava and.
It's how people self-identify, right?
So okay. So I do agree that you're going to get better data on those buckets or whatever you want to call them, because that's what we pull on. But I think so. I don't know the data, but I think like if you looked at among Asian Americans, you could look at when what generation immigrant they are maybe or something. Like you could find like what because what I'm curious about is what proportion of Asian Americans had someone put in an internment camp, had a relative put in an internment camp.
You could say the same thing about black in the United States. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I want to know those proportions.
It's probably the
because
minority.
You're like comparing these two buckets, and I think that like one of the buckets, like the proportion of Asians who have had an internment camp, might be a lot smaller than the proportion of black people in America who have had a slave ancestor. Both
Maybe.
Because slavery happened forever ago, so you have way more ancestors, 200 years ago. And also because I think there are more African American, I think just the African American population takes up a bigger portion of the black population.
But this gets to my proportionality argument, what I said to Peter, or was it Liam? I forget. That let's say, you're right. The proportion is higher of slave history compared to internment camps, but we should still see a proportionality in the overall data.
Yeah, after you adjust for the proportion.
But we don't.
Yeah, but okay, but you haven't adjusted. I guess.
No. Hear what I'm saying? Exactly everything you've been saying about Asians, I can say for blacks, right? Nigerians who second generation Nigerians living now U.S. citizens living in the United States.
You're talking about median wealth, right? So let's say 60% of blacks are African American.
Alex, why are you pushing back on this?
What do you mean? You're saying proportionality, but if let's say 70% of Asians are immigrants and wealthy because of that, right? You talk about Nigerian, wealthy Nigerians.
The Nigerians are bringing the average black medium household income up.
Yes.
And some Asians if they're 10% from a certain country are bringing the Asian medium income up.
Yes.
Then there's some blacks who are bringing the average down, just like there's some Asians bringing it down. So we're all agreed on this, right?
Yes.
But the overall average is still the overall average.
The overall average. Okay. Yeah, that's just a tautology. Yep. But
so what's the problem?
Okay. So let's do median because it's easier to argue there, but we can talk about average also. So if we're talking median, and you have 70% of Asian Americans now are recent immigrants, and only 30% of Black Americans are recent immigrants, then of course the median is going to be more reflective of higher income Asians in America. The median
I got you.
Shifted higher.
Because there's a greater chance. But remember, median, you could have one Asian or one Nigerian who makes $5 billion a year to cause a skewing of that median. It's hard. It depends on the number of Nigerians. You're right.
You're saying one could skew an average. One wouldn't skew a median.
Well, no, it can.
If you have two people or something, right?
Depends on. Yeah, you're right. Depends on the number.
That's why I use median, right, to try to mitigate outliers.
The skewing. Yeah.
Median. I don't know.
So your point is that you're trying to defend.
Okay.
Are you trying to defend blacks? That the reason why? You're trying to poo-poo Asians. That the number is not actually a good number because of most of them are immigrants.
No, I'm not trying to poo-poo anyone.
Okay, so your point is that there could be more immigrants who are Asian than blacks. That's skewing the median.
Yes, that's one thing I'm claiming. Yeah, and I'm saying that I don't know that data, and I don't think it's implausible that that's the case. And I think it ties into. I think it's like a consistency thing for you, I guess. Like you're pointing to this Asian, wealth, average wealth, and this Black average wealth, and you're like telling the story about like how Asian culture might be.
So
more
are you
rewarding.
saying then, because we don't know this data,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot say it's cultural?
No, of course not.
Okay, then what are you actually saying?
You can't conclude that from.
So what conclusion are you
I'm
pushing
saying
back
that
on?
What conclusion am I pushing back on?
Yeah.
I don't think you draw any conclusions. That's kind of what you do, right? Is you just ask questions.
Can you conclude that the median household income is higher for Asians than blacks?
Yes, that's true. Like in America?
Okay.
Right? Don't we have data on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, across all Asians.
You can conclude that.
Yeah, if you show me data on something, and it's from like a source that I trust or something, more or less, I'm just gonna like accept it as.
So if we can conclude that, now the question is, what explains that?
Yes.
And you and I can hypothesize and guess. What's your guess?
What's my? I think that immigration explains a lot of it. I'd be curious to see the data on that. I think that it's a better explanation than just culture, I guess.
Well, aren't they the same?
I mean, in the reductive way that you think everything's genetic, sure. It's
No,
all
not
genetic or
not even in the
What?
reductive way. How is it that the immigrants that are Asian, why do they have higher incomes?
Well, that could be like, I think I would probably mostly say that's a selection effect. I think if you have, like, you're going to have a lot of wealth in order to immigrate to America.
No, you
Right?
don't. That's not true.
It's more likely you will immigrate. Like, so if you want to immigrate to America, it's more likely you will successfully do that if you have a higher wealth from China, let's say.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't think that it's actually, I would say it is higher skills. Because most immigrants initially come in on a work visa.
Skills. I think the wealth is going to go to I think the wealth will explain the skills and not the other way.
Wealth explains skills, not skills explains wealth?
I think wealth explains skills and skills explains income, right? Because your statistics are about income. So I'm not even there yet. I'm talking about wealth.
Wow. See, that's I think the difference between a liberal mind and a conservative mind. That you would say wealth is what determines your skill, whereas I would say, okay, what's the causal link then with the chain?
I just think it's correlated. I just think people who
I agree. But my question is, what came first, the wealth or the skill?
I would say explains. I wouldn't say. My problem is just saying determines, right? Because I don't think that because someone's wealthy, they will be.
What comes first, the wealth or the skill?
What comes first for an individual?
Yeah,
the wealth. I think you're usually born into wealth.
Whoa.
What do you mean? I mean, we could look at data on that, but I guess I think
no. My question is, what comes first? Well, so imagine a wealthy family.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a point when that, at least in most cases, unless you're a monarchy, wasn't there a point at which that family became wealthy?
Correct.
What explains that?
Yeah.
There you go. That's my point. Skills actually.
That's why I said on the individual level and not on like the family level. I do think that like at some point historically someone was skilled. I think that like most individuals who are considered like wealthy, we can talk about like what that would mean. I think most of them are wealthy before they're skilled, like in current society. Like a baby born today or someone who like dies wealthy, I think was, and skilled, let's say, I think was more likely to be born wealthy than to have, built that wealth from nothing or from very little.
Yeah, babies born in wealthy families, unless they're hated by their parents, are going to be wealthy as well. Then the question is, do they build upon that wealth or do they suck the wealth out? Do they add to it or subtract from it? So if you're talking on an individual level, it still is determinant upon the skill of that individual, whether they add to the wealth or subtract. Yeah, the change in wealth.
Yes.
Yeah. So look like Donald Trump. Sure, he was given every opportunity to become successful, but he still was successful, right?
I think so.
He multiplied the loaves and fishes. Yeah, like he.
Oh, then maybe I should convert to some religion.
So someone can be
actually multiply loaves and fishes.
Someone can be given a $10 million trust fund, And when they die, that 10 million can be worth 1 million or 100 million.
Yeah, I guess this feels like kind of roaming off the like.
No, it's basically it ties it all back to personal responsibility. What you do with what you are given, which ties into culture. What do you value? Do you value to learn skills? No, not you personally, but if you come from a culture like we were talking about the Asian immigration, if you come from a culture that values education and you learn a skill and that skill gets you an H visa here in the United States, and that's why you immigrate, that's still culture. That's still valuing education and getting these skills. And now I agree with you. There are some cases where people get in just for having money, but I would say most of the time it's not that. It's for having skills, and the employers in the United States are desperate to fill certain jobs, and they have to go overseas to get it.
I think I agree with most of what you said.
Okay, so if you agree with that, and you agree that Asians are immigrated and even Africans are immigrated, and I think the highest paid immigrants in the United States are actually African, not Asian. I think that's true. At least Nigerians, I remember seeing a list and Nigeria was at the top. Then we got more explaining to do. What accounts for this disparity in wealth in the United States if both immigration's happening? Now you could say there's more immigration from Asia than Africa, but to me it's still
which goes to the proportionality thing that I was saying.
Yeah, I understand, but still it's the African Americans who have been here for 10 generations or whatever. They're dragging that median down from the immigrants from Nigeria. Yeah. Then we have to ask the question, why? Why are they dragging it down? And then a person on the left would say, because of systemic racism, you idiot. That's what they would say.
Okay, yeah, some people would say that. Yeah, I don't know if that's what I would say.
And then I would ask the question, well, why aren't the Asians who were in internment camps during World War II, why aren't they dragging the Asian average or median down?
And then I would say we don't know that.
Well, no, to the same degree as African Americans.
I would say we don't know that. Because we don't know the proportions.
Okay.
I don't know the proportion of Asian American. I think without at least a rough estimate of that, that's somewhat reliable.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm not sure if
that's where I would stop though. That's where I personally would stop your argument or your point that you're making.
Okay.
Cultures, I think we don't have the data on it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how detailed the IRS or other, I think we would have to go to the IRS, how detailed they go with the boxes. I know there's details on immigration, but if you want to start getting into how many generations count, do you have to be before you're no longer an immigrant? Is it 1, 2, 3? I'm an immigrant, but if my dad immigrated, am I still considered an immigrant? I mean,
okay, that's like rounding errors at that point. I mean, how many people?
No, these are real questions.
Wait, no, you're right. There are.
Yeah.
I think you'd still be considered an immigrant, right?
No, I'd be considered a second generation American.
Really?
Or is it even a first generation? I don't know. Does the
I
initial?
I would count you
second
both
generation.
as first generation or something. I mean, I don't know. If my parent immigrated somewhere, do I automatically they go to Italy?
Yeah.
In America, somewhat obviously.
PFJung, I'll let you in soon.
Go
ahead.
If they go to Italy, am I a second generation Italian? If they get an Italian citizenship, or am I only that once I get an Italian citizenship?
I don't know the laws in Italy, but here in the United States, if your parents are American and you're born in American soil, you're automatically an American.
Yeah.
And if you weren't born in American soil, but your parents are American, you can very easily become an American. I mean,
I guess this just gets to what it means to be a first or second generation. It's not super interesting.
I actually think that the rules about if you're born on the soil you shouldn't automatically become an American. I think we should do away with that. But anyhow, I'll let you go.
All right, have fun with PFJung.
See ya. Did I accidentally lose you? Try again, PF. I think I accidentally let you. There you go. How's my Culture Christian doing?
Oh, am I live?
Of course
Are
you're
we here.
alive.
Am I
Yeah.
on? Wow.
You're breathing.
First off, it's PFJung.
No, it's
not
PFJung.
No.
And I love your ribs.
The pot stickers.
You can make a lot of Eve with your ribs.
Listen, you've been spreading a lot of conservative propaganda. You know that? Okay. Your last call, he was talking about wealth determines skills, and I think it was a broader conversation about privilege, what kind of advantages people have coming into life, and all that. Right?
We didn't talk about privilege actually. The word didn't come up yet.
But is that not?
It was implied.
Fair description of the theme. Let me ask you this, Doug.
Sure, PFJung.
Do you think that the government should offer any student loan relief whatsoever to people who took student loans?
I lean no. I think
You lean no.
Yeah, I'd rather have students suffer.
Me too, because they're mostly left wingers. Hey, you know what? Let me say that. I'll say the most racist thing I've ever said on your channel right now.
You've never been on this channel before, so. What's
that?
You haven't been on this channel before, have you?
Oh, perfect. No, not yet. No. This is my first time, so I'll cap off
welcome.
this. Here's my philosophy. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Theist Thursday is great. You just do it on your in the middle of the day when professionals like myself are working.
Yeah, that's true. I get all the losers.
Right. This is the most racist thing I'll ever say. I would gladly deport 10,000 white, college-educated Marxists and replace them with 10,000 Cubans or Venezuelans.
You're talking about the people, not the cigars?
The people, yes. Although cigars would be too. I'd gladly deport the 10,000 white college Marxists for 10,000 Cuban cigars.
That's a fair trade.
Yeah. Why did I bring that up? Oh, you make it students. I wanted to get your opinion on the student loan because this is my philosophy. Going back to advantages that people are born with. I have friends who borrowed a lot of money.
They're stupid,
and went to university. They made very stupid financial decisions.
Yep.
But here's the thing. My dad taught me budgeting, and we went to walk to the bank once a week to get an allowance, and we filled out deposit slips, and from a young age he instilled it in me. He grew up very poor, so he instilled that in me. My other friends, I have one in particular whose dad didn't do that. Actually, we saw his dad had lost his job, and then we were actually at the gas station, and we saw, me and my other buddy, we saw him buying lottery tickets. So my friend's dad, who had lost his job and was short on cash, was buying lottery tickets, which is the worst financial decision you could possibly make.
It's a tax on poor people.
Literally. I think it should be banned, to be honest, because the argument is, well, it funds
education,
social programs. Yeah, but it's the people at the bottom who are paying the tax to begin with. But what that indicated to me is what you and I rightfully, and I would say accurately, regard as a stupid financial decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's only stupid to us because we had the knowledge, or at least in my case, it was stupid to me because my dad, very early taught me the common sense of, financial decisions. But my other friend, whose, dad was buying lottery tickets at the worst possible time, it's like,
well,
there's some
don't treat this guy like a child, PF.
There's some fundamental inequality, cosmic inequality there.
You're treating this man like he's a child, that he doesn't know better.
I'm treating this 18-year-old, because that's when he borrowed the student loans, which I think is a crime. Not like legal. It's not actually a crime. It's a moral crime that we allow 18-year-olds to take on tens of thousands of dollars of student debt to get a worthless degree. But our whole lives in high school, we were told, It was all college prep. We had college recruiters coming to our high school when we were freshmen. What college do you want to go to? Blah, blah, blah. Here's a standardized test. The key is to get your good GPA. And it's like, it was drilled into our minds, a lie. In order to be successful, you have to go to college. And I do think there's an inequality of capability and understanding the severity of that financial decision. And that is why I am sympathetic to some level of student debt forgiveness. Maybe not the first like 50,000, because you can pay that shit back $400 a month, $300 a month, whatever. But like if you're over like $100,000 in debt, kind of like some of that should be forgiven. But I don't know. You're a conservative propagandist. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Let me summarize what you just said, because you took a long time to get there. Basically,
it's a very complicated and sophisticated point.
Basically, you're saying that the government took advantage of these poor, ignorant kids, and so they're partly responsible, and therefore there should be forgiveness.
Yeah, to some degree. It's not as elegant as I put it, but it's at your level. So yeah.
I just like to simplify things. Okay,
that's fair.
I'm actually a little bit, what's the right word? Sensitive to your complaint there. And I do think the government has, and certain administrations of universities have taken advantage of kids who suck at math and who didn't have good fathers, like us. So I am.
Did your dad teach you like budgeting and all that stuff?
Not so much budgeting, but just how to handle money. Like
financial literacy.
In fact, I'll be like Peter and let's educate the world right now, which I'm sure you're going to agree with. When I was a kid, every Sunday after church, we would go out to eat, and then my dad would give me money and the check. And I remember as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, I went to pay the bill. Like it was like a diner, so you had to go to the till. And so I had to look at the check, understand what the check said, take the appropriate amount of cash, and pay the bill and collect the change. So at a very early age, I knew how much it cost to eat as a family. And back in the late 70s, it was like a family of family of 5, it was like $18.
$18? Yeah.
Good guess. Wow. That's scary, man.
Hey, I know inflation rates.
And then my dad had a business, and he, as soon as I got my driver's license, he gave me the checks, and I went to the bank to deposit them, listed it in the deposit book.
That's what we did. We filled out deposit slips. This is back when they had deposit slips.
Yeah, exactly. And at age 15, when I got my driver's, I was depositing $100,000 in the bank account for my dad, big checks. So big numbers never scared me growing up, and I saw what money was and how it moved, and
which is a privilege. A genuine, in the real sense, not the abused sense that it gets thrown around.
It was a privilege that I was born in a family that
valued
valued education.
Right.
And
specifically
not just
financial literacy.
Yes, and not just going to university. I mean, you can learn way more on a farm in 1 year than 5 years at university.
Probably.
Like on how to problem solve, how to deal with your own emotions.
Yeah, arguably you come out dumber. You're actually worse off having gone to university in many ways. You come out with a more incorrect view of the world than had you not gone at all, for depending on your degree.
Yeah, and depending on the university.
True.
So let's compromise. How can we compromise on the student loan thing? You say forgive up to the first 50,000?
No, the opposite. So if you've borrowed 50,000, that's not life ending. 100,000 or more can be like permanently financially debilitating, especially when you do you could pay off a lot of it.
Can't the students declare bankruptcy?
No, you cannot declare bankruptcy from student loans in the United States. You didn't know that?
No, I've never had student loans. How should I know this?
Another example of conservative privilege that you just take for granted. Yeah, student loans. I'm surprised you don't know that. That's kind of a common.
I've never paid tuition in my life, and I got 3 degrees. You know how I did that?
You got your degrees from the streets?
No.
What degrees did you get?
I was smart. I earned merit scholarships.
Did you go to school in Canada?
1 degree was in Canada. 2 degrees were in the United States.
Okay, so you got 2 degrees.
3.
You said 1 was in Canada?
Oh, come on.
You got 2
Queens,
degrees.
You don't trust the Queen's
I'm
University?
kidding. I'm kidding. Classic Canadian insults.
There's so many
What I'm
problems.
saying.
There's
What
so
I'm
many
saying.
problems here.
What I'm saying. If you have more than $100,000 of student debt, I'd be okay forgiving some percentage of it, or even how about refinancing at 0% interest rate, or like 1 or something.
I'd be more as a compromise, more willing to do that, because here's the problem with debt forgiveness. Let's say you forgive $100,000 for student A, but student B just finished paying off $100,000 student loan.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I mean, I just paid off my student loans.
Where's the fairness in that? Like, let me appeal to
I agree.
The granola crunchers, the liberals. They're all about fairness. Where's the fairness in that? Then you got to start for actually paying back the people who already paid off their loans and say, okay, this is the only fair thing to do. And then how many years back are you going to go? I mean, it gets nuts.
No, I agree. I also think under no circumstances whatsoever can you do any sort of type of student loan forgiveness unless it is attached to reform of how student loans are given in the first place, i.e. colleges have to co-sign the loans. So if they can't pay back, then it comes out of their endowment, because Harvard is essentially, you know what Harvard's endowment is?
It's huge.
It's like 40 billion.
Yeah.
40 billion, which is like, I think like a top 200 Fortune, it'd be a Fortune 200 size market cap or something like that. It's absurd.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they get all the tuition money and federal grants. It's like, what the fuck? They have an endowment and they get tuition money. And it's like, it's absurd. So the colleges should have to co-sign the loans, because if you're going to have someone borrow money to get a degree, you know, there's so much you can learn online too. I mean, I could just watch you for 3 weeks and I'll have a more sophisticated cultural education than.
And people do, like, and they do. I sign their degree, their diplomas.
Yeah. You should offer certification. That's the future. See, once accreditation is seized from the hands of university, a new era. Will, you want to make a university? The PineCreek PFJungs.
Let me test you. Why have tuition rates gone up more than the rate of inflation over the last 20 years?
Because when you have free money, right, which is essentially what that is.
Because of student loans, federal student loans.
So Matt, you have a product. I'm selling product X. Could be university degrees. Maybe it's houses. Let's say it's houses or university degrees. The government will loan money to consumers that can only be used for your product. And the government is the one that guarantees the loan. You have no obligation to deliver a quality product or pay back the loan if they can't pay it back. It's the most corrupt system in the world, and all goes to deans and administrators.
This is a classic example of unintended consequences where people on the left feel like they're doing some good for society, that they're now providing a way for people to get education, and the unintended consequence is skyrocketing tuition rates. And they don't understand this. They don't connect the dots. But when you have a huge supply of money for, like you said, for a certain product, that price of that product's going to go up.
Right. Especially if they just if there's no limit on the loans. The student loans, it's literally the housing crisis. What was the whole central theme of the housing crisis was people were borrowing money that didn't have the credit and should not have been able to get a mortgage for that much. You had some, that's like the Big Short meme is like, you have a stripper with a bunch of cash and she was able to get like a mortgage on 3 houses because she should not have been, by any normal estimation, given that loan. Okay, you have 18-year-olds who don't even have any marketable skills. They're getting degrees in English or art history or gender studies, which have zero return. And there's no amount of loan that you can take too much of. There's no cap on it. It's absurd. There's no credit check or anything. It's
Yeah, you're right. It's very much like the housing crisis, and
in every way. And listen, I have a gender studies degree.
You do?
That, right? 100%. I have a minor in gender studies.
I'm sorry,
Doug. I keep my friends close. I keep my enemies closer. I majored in supply chain management. So I got a real degree, and then I got my gender studies minor. In part because I can tell people, hey, I got a gender studies minor. And I can make the joke to my female friends. Hey, listen, as an expert on women's issues, if you have any questions on the female experience, please, you can come to me with anything.
Oh, with that hair.
I'm
Yeah,
technically an
sure.
expert. Right.
You have hair privilege.
Yeah. Ken, I haven't seen Barbie movie, but
I saw it.
Ken privilege. Was it good?
No, I hated it. But not for the woke reason.
Was it woke? I've seen some conflicting reports that.
Well, no, I'm just
like,
saying
it was on the face of it woke, but it was subtly a critique of wokeness. I don't know.
I can see that. But I just think it was a shitty movie. I mean,
Just wasn't that good.
No.
Did you see Oppenheimer?
No, I haven't yet.
I haven't seen either of them. That one I heard is a lot of talking.
But what does that mean for the United States when a movie like Barbie is one of the highest grossing movie of all time, and it's a shitty movie?
Well,
like,
it means that's bad for the United States, or Old Man Doug doesn't have much cultural attunement.
No.
He has no sense of taste. That's what that means.
Believe me, when you look up the word cultured in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of me.
Yeah.
And if you look really closely, I'm holding a picture of you.
And then Canuck are the same picture.
No, like Will, what's his name? Will, what's his last name? The Saturday Night Live alum.
Ferrell?
Ferrell, yeah. Will Ferrell was in that movie, and he just sucked at it. It's sort of like supposed to be slapstick, but it was just slapstick done bad, and yeah.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
I can't answer that, but to give you a flavor where I'm coming from, Schindler's List.
Is Gladiator one of them?
No, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan,
Okay.
Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill.
Oh God, Pulp Fiction. You want to have the real discussion about culture? Pulp Fiction is the worst movie ever made. It's postmodern garbage. There's no plot. It's just
Hateful Eight.
It's just pure arrogance. It's pure arrogance. It means nothing.
Country,
Quentin Tarantino makes good movies.
No Country for Old Men.
That one, I remember watching it and thinking it wasn't very good, but I also had smoked a lot of marijuana at the time. So
Knives Out, the first one. I said like that as a Canadian. Knives Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen that one?
No, I've not.
I have brilliantly written movie.
Have you seen or heard of what is it called? It's like a existential philosophy movie. It was made recently. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I started, I couldn't finish it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting. You know the midwit meme? The normal distribution where it's like dummy on one end, normal distribution is kind of like an average person, and then on the other end it's like an intelligent person.
Yeah.
And the dummy and the intelligent person are saying the same thing, and the guy at the height of the normal distribution is saying the dumb thing. You seen that meme?
No, but I've heard it now because you explained it.
All right. I'm not doing it justice. Your audience will for sure know. I don't even know why did I bring that up. Everything Everywhere All at Once, because a lot of people I kind of respect were like, that's a very good movie. But then CJ the X is a YouTuber who I believe is the archetypal artist made flesh. And then you, perhaps the wisest person I've ever encountered online.
Probably.
Both have said it was not very good, which is interesting. So I'm gonna have to watch it, and
it couldn't keep my
poison
attention.
the well a bit.
Yeah.
Interesting. So speaking of, you mentioned your Canadian accent. I did a live podcast with JJ McCullough, by the way. He was in Dallas for a vid summit, and I was going to confront him on his
weakness,
his exaggeration of a bootness. Yeah. Well, so are you going to come? Do you want to come on still, or are you just done with it?
Well, I did a litmus test with him when I came on there.
Well, you were asking dumb questions. You really were.
But
it
was
a very pissy litmus
That
test.
was the litmus test to see how he would handle it.
That's fair, but also think about it from his perspective. He's got like 1 million subs. He had
how I don't know.
Any rando nut job, any right-wing wacko such as yourself could call in. He doesn't know what to expect. So I can understand why he's on a bit of the defensive.
Yeah,
he
was so defensive.
Yes, but if I give him, if I give you my blessing to him, I say, JJ, I vouch for this old man. I think we could have an interesting discussion. Maybe about climate change. You don't believe in climate change, do you?
No, I do.
I'm
not a climate change denier.
Alarmist?
But I'm an alarmist denier.
Me neither. I'm not an alarmist either.
Yeah.
For every given 1 degree in the global temperature, what percent of that change do you think is human contributed? If you had to guess.
I'm
5?
No. I'm willing to go much higher than that.
Really? 50%?
Even higher.
So how are you not an alarmist then? Because are you of the opinion that as the temperatures rise, there will be other variables that we have not factored into that will counteract the rising temperature?
People are assuming that a rise in temperature of, let's say, a degree and a half is going to be a net badness. There's an assumption there.
The simplified assumption, you like to think simply. So let me explain my simple understanding of it. The alarmist perspective: temperatures hit a certain threshold, the ice caps melt. That kicks off a runaway feedback process. The world floods.
The world's not going to flood. There's not enough water to flood the world. Extra ice cap water.
How about the coasts though?
People can move inland.
So do you think it's feasible that in a few decades New York could be underwater?
No, I'd bet my entire net worth on it.
Okay, well, I bet my entire net worth on if I had a net worth as small as
I might
yours,
be dead
I'm sure.
in a few decades, but
yeah, that's fair. Okay, well, I'm a fan of Bjorn Lomborg.
Basically, my take on it is that humans can adapt. Humans, and we have time to react to any pressures, any negative pressures, and that odds are the solution to global or climate change, global warming, is to put more chemicals in the air to absorb the CO2.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I've heard that.
Yep. And if it doesn't happen, then like I said, there's the two biggest countries in the world are Canada and Russia. They're way up in the northern hemisphere. They're going to be good.
Biggest by landmass.
Yeah.
Yeah, more arable land in Canada. Canada should be very happy with this. This whole stuff, right?
So the alarmist position is not so much alarmism because of climate change. It's alarmism that there's poor people who can't react to it. That's the real alarmism.
Mass migration in like the southern hemisphere. Which, by the way, it's funny. See, you're a conservative. I'm an enlightened centrist, as you know, which means I usually can find something to argue with about conservatives and progressives. But you're an atheist conservative.
Yeah.
So, like, all of my primary arguments that I would have with conservatives, you don't buy because you're not a religious fundamentalist. So it's like
you can't touch me.
I try to think of things to argue with that
like
you
MC
and I
Hammer.
would disagree on. Are you pro or against gay marriage? Would you, if it was up to you, would you?
I'm okay with people being miserable. So if they want to get married, yeah. No, I'm kidding. Gay marriage is fine. Yeah. If you don't like gay marriage, don't do it.
Well, what do you think we disagree on, you and I, based on our last conversation? I mean, you are a centrist. I don't see how you because you also think the religious right is too far right. I would assume, right?
To me, it's that not that they're too far right. It's that they're just wrong on what they believe.
Well, don't you think you could fairly characterize the extreme policies informed by a religious worldview as right wing? Like, are you pro-choice or pro-life or that's a stupid question. I don't even know why I ask it that way.
Yeah, good.
At what point do you think
15 to 20 weeks?
Yeah, we agree on that. Fuck.
Yeah.
So
that's
like
because you and I are reasonable. Like we're not crazy.
Right, and charismatic, don't forget. That's more important than reasonable.
Now let me like this is how you really ruffle feathers in the atheist world. Okay, I'm about to say something that's really going to be offensive. I believe the rights of a woman go down as the pregnancy duration goes up. The rights to her bodily autonomy goes down as the duration of the pregnancy goes up.
Sure, I agree with that.
To me, that's extremely reasonable. And I also believe that they don't have rights. Women do not have rights to bodily autonomy if society doesn't give it to them first.
True. Your rights are my responsibility. There's a social. Ooh, okay.
And there's no God to, I don't believe in any God, so there's no rights from on heaven. It's
you might not believe in God, but you act like God exists, which is why you're a cultural Christian, as we stated. But you agree that like the people pushing for total ban, like the people who want to ban contraceptives and abortion, because of religious reasons. That's too far right. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say it's too far right. It's just wrong.
Why you would accuse people of being too far left, I would assume. Woke is too far left, right?
No, I even today have said that you can be woke and be on the right.
Like how?
To me, one of the definitions of being woke is shutting down dialogue. So if you're a conservative Christian who refuses to talk to an atheist because they're an atheist, that's a type of wokeness, in my view.
Okay, that's a very centrist thing to say because it's basically horseshoe theory. I mean it. That's what I'm saying.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Listen. Here's the thing. This is what I'm trying to do. Did you see? I know you don't follow the online politics sphere that much. But did you see Destiny go to Washington D.C. and the streamers were talking to the Ro Khanna, the congressperson there?
No, I didn't see it.
So there's the whole online politics space, right? And all they do all day is play video games and sit on their ass and bitch, right?
Yeah.
They don't do anything in real life, but that's changing. There's a massive number of young voters who pay attention to these online political streamers, and they are attempting to activate their audiences to do canvassing. I believe Destiny may or may not have tipped the race in Georgia, the Senate runoff race between, was it Ossoff and Tuberman, or I don't know who the other person was. But in Georgia, you remember there was a runoff in the last
brain
election?
dead guy?
No, that's Fetterman and Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania. In Georgia, there was a runoff election. Destiny got his whole huge audience, or a portion of it, to do canvassing in Georgia, and the Democrat won that race by a very slim margin. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to suggest that had Destiny not done that, the Republican could easily have won. So these online political figures, when they make active use of their audience, are actually affecting electoral outcomes. And in my perspective, negatively, because they're a bunch of left-wingers.
What's the main issue Destiny, like, what makes Destiny left-wing?
He's insufferable. That's why. No, I don't know. He was always very left-wing, and then he's moved back. I don't know what makes Destiny left-wing. He thinks this is the quote: anyone who votes for Trump is a fascist or an artard. And he believes that. Like, obviously it's being provocative, but he's like, no, you are actually a bad person.
Yeah, like I have no use for people like that.
Right. I may have an opportunity to confront him on that specifically. But the point is, this is what I'm saying, Doug. And then I don't know, do you have another caller? I got to go in.
No, I don't have
12 minutes. I have a meeting.
You'll be my last caller.
Okay, all right. Because I work with a bunch of these West Coasters, so it's 2:00 their time. So even though my day should be over, I gotta hop in.
Yeah, it's 2:18 here.
I know. It's ridiculous.
And nobody can follow you, PFJung. So Chang. So you're going to be my last caller.
Okay, all right.
I would hate to burden anyone with that.
That's fair. That's fair. Those are big shoes to fill. So listen to this very carefully.
Okay.
So right now, the online politics space, they're activating, right? I will not stand for a bunch of nerd left-wingers.
So they don't hear it.
Yes, I'm trying to keep it down. Okay.
Yeah.
I will not stand for a bunch of nerd left-wingers claiming to represent, people who get their media online. So I am creating the enlightened centrist online new centrist political movement, marketing TBD. Okay. And I need you
I'm not going
to do a 30-second testimony. Hi, I'm PineCreek Doug. Have you noticed our country is going a little bit too far left and a little bit too far right? Well, that is why I have endorsed PFJung as the future of the centrist movement here in the United States. He has great pot stickers and even better short ribs.
Why are you setting your limits so low? Why don't you and I run for president and vice president?
Well, I didn't want to jump the shark too quickly, but that was going to be the ultimate point. I was going to slowly feed this to you over the course of a year or two, and
I'll even let you be president because I was born in Canada. But I'll be your Dick Cheney.
Can the vice? You'd be a great Dick Cheney. You want to invade Canada? They got a lot of oil.
Dick.
They got a lot of oil.
Oh yeah, we'll take over Alberta.
Can you not? Did you have to?
Oh, hang on. I can't be vice president either. Yeah, you're right. I can't be vice president either. I can be your whipping
staff?
boy. Yeah, chief of staff or something.
That's fair. Or my secretary. can answer my correspondence. You can answer all the.
I can bring you donuts in the morning.
Yeah. Hi, you got 10 letters from the Burlington Coat Factory about supply chain issues. But I think, Doug, because you are an incredibly good person, an influential one,
yeah,
who believes in what's best for this country, that
if I would have gone to Georgia, Destiny would have lost.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I am too lazy and too occupied with other things to go canvassing. But my point is, I feel like long term there should be some opposition, or there should be an alternative. If you're in the online politics space, if you know who Destiny is, if you get interested in these conversations, if you discuss politics, there should be a centrist coalition or.
But here's my problem with you. Here's my problem with you.
Good.
And that
glad
is
we finally got here.
When you say centrist, if what you mean is just being reasonable, great, fine.
Basically.
But when you look at American history, all great things that have been done have not been done by centrists. They've been done by the progressives or the far right wingers.
We only call them that in hindsight, but at the time, they could have been. Actually, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Hold on, let me rethink that.
Like the fighting against the
I know what
British.
you mean. The radicals. Radicals are the ones that. Okay, but like so Dwight Eisenhower, Interstate Project, very ambitious project, right?
Yeah.
Was that a very progressive or a very right-wing move? I wouldn't characterize that as that. I would say it was a very like common sense centrist move, right?
Yeah, that's a good example, but again, we're talking about roads versus.
Well, the interstate system, as a Canadian, you should appreciate. I was actually when I was driving with JJ to the studio, we're doing the podcast. We're like, yeah,
there's no interstates in Canada.
Exactly. So I was like, hey, it's pretty fucking dope.
There's interprovinces.
Right, and then there's like a Vancouver to New Halifax.
There's one interprovince road, and that's number 1 highway.
Yeah,
there's one.
So here's my radical centrist policy list. Ready? You tell me if this is progressive or conservative or truly centrist. Okay. Number 1, ranked choice voting. How do you shake your head? It's such a great idea.
No, you're asking me if it's right, left, or center, right?
Or just a good idea. Yeah, if it's just a good idea and it's not
I would lean that.
Open borders.
A good idea.
Some people would think that's a great idea, but it's clearly not.
No, it isn't. Yeah.
And
good
completely
idea.
Closed borders, also terrible idea.
I agree.
But okay, so ranked choice voting. Good idea. Right?
Good idea.
All right, and it's a relatively easy implementable policy that can speak to the.
It might help conjure up more political parties.
Alternatives. Yeah. Okay, that's number 1. All right, number 2. Expanded use of nuclear energy.
Oh, very good idea.
Very good. Not because it speaks to even if you disagree with their concerns, the left wing's concern about climate change, right? It does address that. And it addresses the right wing concern for energy independence.
Exactly. It's a win-win for both parties.
Right.
Yeah.
So, ranked choice voting, nuclear energy. And I got to figure I'm using DALI 3 to create some propaganda posters. Soviet-style propaganda posters for these policies. Okay, weaving these together.
We can get the Soviets to help us with this channel.
The Soviets,
the Russians,
the Canadians.
Well, the Soviets don't exist anymore.
You mean Trudeau's government? Yeah. Okay, all right. So that's number 2. All right, here's number 3. I call this hashtag Show Me the Algorithms. Executive order to force all major social media companies to make their algorithms transparent today, like Twitter does. Demand it.
Why?
Because here's my analogy. Imagine a pharmaceutical company released a virus onto the public, which is, of course, have never happened in the history of the world. And they have the genetic code as their trade secrets. It's right, their company property is the genetic code of this virus that they released onto the public.
Okay.
We wouldn't tolerate, you release this virus on the public and we need to know what the genetic code is so we can come up with a cure. Oh, but this is our property right, so we can't release that to you. It's like, no, fuck that. We would come in with guns and say, show us the goddamn genetic code so we can address this virus. I would say the social media algorithms are a memetic virus, not just at the systemic societal level, because it affects election outcomes, but also at the level of mental health. American people have a right to know what social experiment they have been a participant in. And the government should force the companies to make those algorithms transparent, to understand, is there a pipeline to the alt-right? Is there bias? Are people getting censored? We need to know that.
This
and
is
it's radical.
conflicting to me.
Right, but in a good way.
Because you're basically pushing the envelope to privacy and patents and intellectual property.
There's definitely a cost benefit, and there is a cost, and it is essentially stomping on But again, that wouldn't you agree that same hesitation could play into the pharmaceutical example, right? Well, but it is their patent, whatever that organism was that they
created. But you could make the law that it's still private to them until the virus comes out, and then you go in with guns and say, "Give us." You could do the same thing. You could do the same thing with the social media companies. You don't make it a law beforehand. You just society decides, okay, this is a step too far.
Yeah, we know that Twitter affected the outcome of the election for sure, and YouTube censored all kinds of relevant information. The damage is done. The mental health effects.
Do we know that?
Okay, Doug, you're a conservative. You of all people should know.
Yeah, but I'm a reasonable guy, so I'll ask.
You don't think the Twitter files were compelling?
To idiots, maybe.
Okay. All right,
no. Hang on. Oh, the Twitter files. No, okay. I know what you're getting at. Do I believe that there was influence by government of both foreign and domestic on the election? I say yes. But no, you ready? This is going to shock you. I say, so what?
That's a different conversation.
No, but it boils down to the people. Like, I'm Canadian. I was Canadian in the last election.
I know. I can tell. I suffer through all of your accents.
I probably convinced some people to maybe change their vote in the 2020 election. Is this foreign involvement? Should I be put in jail?
Yes. Listen, I'm anti-Canada wherever it rears its ugly head. Okay.
It's this
so
whole thing that
guy in that regard.
This whole thing about bots and advertising on Facebook and stuff. If people if people are stupid enough to believe things,
by a Russian now this ad or something,
then we get what we deserve.
Okay, we'll have to come back to that at a different time. I got to go in 2 minutes because I'm supposed to be in a meeting. Alas, here I am fighting the good fight. Okay, so those are the three policies, and the fourth policy. This is the most aspirational, longest term. This is the Interstate Eisenhower Project.
Okay.
Mandatory civil service for 1 to 2 years a day you turn 18, like Switzerland, South Korea, Israel does.
For both men and women.
Yeah.
At 18.
If you want to have rights in this country, you have some responsibility to contribute, and act as a National Guard does with disaster preparedness, conservation efforts. I live.
Aren't you scared about the woke military?
This would be after the centrist revolution, and the woke mind virus would have been contained outside of the military. Those are my policies, Doug.
Yeah, I generally agree with all of them. The social media one is that's a tough pill.
Well, but it's a tough pill, but it's good. It's the right pill to swallow.
Because even we don't have laws like that today, but it's ready to come out just through social pressure. That was it. The FBI colluded with Facebook, Twitter, CIA.
Twitter,
yeah. No, even Facebook has admitted this.
Yeah, and Facebook too. Yeah. But anyway, so chew on those for a little bit, okay? Chew on those. Think about it. And then I will appoint you to my board of advisors. And when I start the new centrist movement website, the Enlightened Centrist, enlightenedcentrism.com, under our policy section will be those policies. And then under our board of advisors, it'll just be Doug.
Yeah.
One person.
Fair enough. That's all you need. Before you go.
Yeah.
Borders. National Guard on the borders, military.
Yes. And I'm very worried about legal immigration. I'm probably going to vote for Trump at this rate.
And deportation.
Unfortunately, yes. DACA dreamers should be given citizenship. People who came here as adults, no. If you can't speak English, that's just a security threat. Like, what if a cop pulls you over and he's giving you commands and you can't understand them? Like, that's just not tenable. So yes.
Okay.
All right. I gotta go.
Coming on. See ya.
All right. Peace.
This guy is so smug, says Dr. Mobile. Dr. Mobile, you gotta learn to relax and you take people as they are. I know it's tough sometimes. Like, I got a little frustrated with Peter an hour ago. But I like him. I like Paul. It is Paul, right? Like, there's very few people that make me cringe, because I just don't. I'm more likely to cringe over soured milk than people's personality types. Because when you get older, you've seen it all. You've seen people's personality types. Oh, this guy's a detailed-oriented person, and he wants to dive deep, deep, deep into theology or philosophy. And you just kind of realize, okay, you're that type of guy. You let them talk for a little bit and then say, I've had enough. What did you want to call in about, Jerome? Yeah, you're not woke. We did the woke test with you. Hey, Tyler. He went to centrist to far right in his last couple sentences. No, I don't think the immigration issue is the idea of a border wall. In fact, did someone see it in the news today? I thought I saw this. There's a Democrat who's now called for a wall. Did anybody know what I'm talking about? I saw it briefly, but I thought I saw today some either a Democratic, who was it? Some Democrat said, you know what, I think we need a wall. But the idea of securing the border with military or National Guard and deportation, I am 100% for that. And I don't think that is, I think that can be a centrist idea. And I think Democratic governors and mayors, they're realizing, because of the brilliance of the southern border states like Texas, shipping, I'll use the word shipping because it's more offensive, shipping people north was brilliant. It says, oh, now you get to know what we have to go through. People have to grow up and be mature enough to realize the truth that for many immigrants coming in, they are a burden to society, at least in the short run. You have to be able to utter those words. If you can't utter those words, you might suffer from wokeism, because it's the truth. Now, if they come in properly and legally, then that changes. And as you know, I'm an immigrant to this country, and I'm now a citizen. So I'm a little more passionate on this issue than other issues, because it's my lived experience. You're going to hate my audio when I ask a trans-related question. Okay, will you hop in quickly, ask your trans question? Hopefully your audio doesn't suck. Too bad. But you're not going to stay here for like half an hour and jibber jabber. Here's another thing that bothers me, and I've said this to some of my good friends. This whole idea is one political party's evil and the other one's righteous. This has to stop. This whole idea, like what Destiny is saying, that if you're on the right, you're a fascist. If you voted for Trump, you're a fascist. No, like someone can disagree with Trump, but their main political issue is, let's say, immigration, and they agree wholeheartedly with Trump on immigration and vote for Trump based on that one main issue. I mean, like that's just foolishness what Destiny's talking. Or you can ask the question in the live stream chat, Jerome. But if you're the type of person who thinks that it's my side of the political aisle that has all the answers or the solutions, or Nothing but problems from the other side. I mean, you are stupid with 2 O's to think that one party, political party, has a monopoly on good ideas, on good solutions and practical workings. I will say you are stupid. You're indoctrinated. You're brainwashed. You are tribal. Like I'm not just saying this, I mean it. In order for a society to function properly, you need differing ideas, different perspectives in this. In fact, you should be for this. If you're for diversity and inclusion, you should be for having more Republicans' voices heard and seriously considering their policy proposals. Don't you want to be diverse, or do you just want to have everything tribal? Oh, I like that. Using their own rhetoric against them. What solution does Trump offer on immigration? I think his proposal is same as Vivek's. National Guard on the border. Nobody crosses the border unless through its port of entry. So basically, you see a bunch of people coming, soldiers right there. And if they try to cross, they're physically stopped. They can't cross. If they have a gun and they pull it, they die. That's proposal 1. Proposal 2 is anybody who has now crossed in the last number of years, waiting asylum or whatever, they have to wait outside the country. They're deported. I think that's Trump's proposal. And whether the wall gets rebuilt. The beauty of the wall is it's really tough to see people suffering at the border and not letting them cross, right? And so people use children, they use it in war, and they also use it when it comes to border crossing as temptation. And let me across. Think of the children. What is my opinion on John F. Kennedy Jr.? Is it John? What's his first name? No, it's Robert. Is it Robert? What's his name? Which Kennedy is he? I know who you mean. Would I ever consider voting for him? Yeah, he'd be one Democrat I would vote for. I tell you, if he runs as a third party, the Democrats really should poop their pants. And if Biden runs and Kennedy Jr. runs a third party, if he even just soaks up 3-4% of the vote, I think Biden's dead. I think Biden's going to lose against Trump anyhow if they run. And that's the thing. So many people have severe hate and disgust for Trump, but when you ask them why, it's sort of like with Elon Musk. You ask, why do you dislike Elon Musk so much? A lot of people find it really difficult to articulate the reasons. Other than that, he says things I don't like. But name some policies that have really hurt your life. What do I think about Vivek? I like him. I do see how he comes across as a little, well, I was going to say braggadocio, but so does Trump, and it seems like it didn't hurt him. Okay, Jerome. What would you have to see for you to believe that trans men, women should be treated as the gender that they want to present as? What makes you think I don't already say that? I've been very clear on the trans issue. No transitioning of hormones, puberty blockers, and surgery for minors. And then after that, you can do whatever you want. And I'm all for counseling and talking. And even if a kid wants to wear a dress and play with dolls, but he's a boy. But I will say, the more I think about this issue, the idea of trans as defined as an experience of being a body, a soul inside of a body that's not the correct body, there's no scientific evidence for that. For masculinity and femininity, maybe there's more scientific evidence on certain sizes of areas of the brain, but at this point, I'm content to claim that transgenderism, as I defined it, does not exist, and that it's purely a cultural phenomenon, that there's no biological reason to think it does. Like, even if you go back to ancient cultures, or even Bangkok, Thailand, like the lady boys, they don't think they're actually ladies. They call themselves lady boys. I think most people dislike Trump because Trump has caused divisions in families at Thanksgiving. Yeah, I agree, Tyler. It's not usually about policy issues. It's like, Trump doesn't love me like I want to be loved. Look, if you need a president to reaffirm you, to love you, to care about you, you got bigger problems. Doug, puberty is the most permanent thing something a person go through. Why take away the options from teens, doctors, and parents? Good question, Sasha. Because kids are idiots. That's why. Kids are confused. Kids are subject to tremendous amounts of peer pressure and societal pressure. You do not believe a kid if they tell you, I'm really a girl or I'm really a boy. That's why, Sasha. Especially because you cannot test it other than self-declaration. Now, people on the left, they can't fathom I'm saying these things. They say, but the children, don't you got to care for them, you got to believe them, you got to... No, you don't. As a good parent, no, you don't. But they're going to die, they're going to commit suicide. Even that is not true. We don't have any hard data on that. It's always, well, they have suicidal thoughts and ideation and attempts. But the attempts, often you can't pinpoint, well, it's this reason and not that they suffer from bipolar or depression or anxieties or they're in prostitution or they're in the drug trade or whatever. I mean, at some point you have to stop feeling sorry for people and see truth. Yeah, exactly, Tyler. If you have to remind your kids to wear deodorant, and you have to remind kids to go to bed, and you have to remind kids to brush their teeth, you're also going to take their word for it? Oh, mommy, I'm really a boy. No. No. In fact, my advice, if you're a parent listening and your child's starting to talk like this, look them in the eye and say, no, you're not. Go for it. And don't let your child emotionally manipulate you. And if your child goes to a school and you find out the teachers are sort of like, I don't want to use the G word, but massaging your kids to think and behave in certain ways, get your kid out of that school. Even, like, you do not want your kid to take their confusion and add to it, so they become even more confused. There's no virtue in being trans. And then I already know the pushback that's coming. Well, you can't put homosexuality in a test tube either, Doug. True enough. And even pain, like you can't even prove, well, actually pain you can prove. But there's so many subjective experiences that we have that you can't scientifically test. Granted, I'll give you all that. But gay people are not asking to have their body parts added or removed or certain drugs be pumped into them because they're gay. That's the difference. And these are my main contentions. Yeah, genuinely curious. Watching Doug talk about mental health is like watching someone hammer screws into wood. Actually, you can hammer screws into wood. I've done it. I think a lot of mental health problems cannot be solved, but can be alleviated by hard manual physical labor. Oh, and this is another thing people hate to hear, but it's the truth. If you are so dead tired physically that you can't even think about your problems, about how you're not loved or you're anxious or nervous or whatever, you're depressed. I tell you, anybody who's been raised on a farm, you know this is true. After a full day of hard physical labor, you don't have time to worry about that crap. You eat a good hot meal and you go to bed. Then you wake up and you do it all over again. My solution to the mental health problems in the United States is to collaborate with big farmers and get young people who are screwed up in the head to work on farms, work with animals, pull weeds, learn real physical skills, get a sense of self-worth and identity in their labor. And by the way, this is the solution to homelessness and people living on the streets. Get them out of the cities and onto farms. And the people, the environmentalists will love this. If they're pulling weeds, you don't need pesticides or herbicides. You can have them in the fields, organic farming. They're doing something great for the world. They have this sense of fulfillment. Get out of the freaking cities. In fact, if you're a parent listening and you have a daughter who's suffering from some type of mental illness, I highly suggest you move. Get out of the city. In fact, even get rid of Wi-Fi. Homeschool your kid if you have to. Buy a horse and have your daughter feed that horse every day. People are laughing at me right now, but you take my advice and it's going to work. Let me say something even more controversial. It'll work better than going to see a psychologist. Oh. Elias. Oh no, Elias is agreeing with me. Yeah, do some landscaping. Oh, I mean, here's a perfect suggestion. There's a lot of artsy people with mental illness. I don't know why artsy people are the ones who suffer from mental illness more than the jocks or whatever, or the nerds. You can use your artsy nature, your artsy proclivities to do like beautiful gardening and landscaping. But seriously, someone who's depressed, if they're working so hard that sweat is pouring off their head, when's the last time sweat has been poured off your head if you suffer from depression? Get yourself so physically tired that you don't have time to think about your problems. Do that for a few years. Advice people can't take. Women don't play much poker. Yeah, we need more token females on my poker night. By the way, I have a poker night. Anybody who doesn't know this, once or twice a week, usually twice a week, we play poker, Omaha, Hold'em, family home game, Just low stakes, 20 to 50 bucks. Tournaments, cash game. If you're interested, you can email me at this. It uses we use Zoom in combination with a poker website, so we see each other, can talk, and then play. It's always good to have, if you, new blood, I mean, new people. If you don't know how to play but you have money, then you're very welcome. I'll teach you. Gambling destroys families and societies in general. Tell that to farmers. Farmers gamble. They're the biggest gamblers in history. Planting crops and hoping it will rain and not flood or all this stuff. Did you hear about Biden to build the wall news? Yeah, well, I just mentioned that, but it wasn't Biden, was it? I thought it was somebody else. But yeah, it's funny how the world goes around. Like 4 years ago, it was Republicans are evil for even suggesting a wall. They're racist for suggesting it. And now Democrats are, some Democrats, I think, are starting to say the same thing. Poker is not gambling if you know what you're doing. And even gambling is just a form of entertainment. But Elias, did you know that in paradise, in the Muslim heaven, there's going to be a lot of poker? Thanks, Mason. As an 11-year-old, I sat alone in my room all night on Adderall and antidepressants watching YouTube. I'm 24 and I still don't know who I am. Mason, dry. Oh. I forgive you, my son. Go in peace. I feel like a pope here. I need to intervene. I am so sorry your parents did that to you or allowed you to do that. If you were my son, Mason, you would have been having a blast on a farm with the wind in your hair. You'd probably been on a Honda four-wheeler. You probably would be shoveling manure. Instead, you were watching Destiny on YouTube or Mr. Beast. If you want, I can talk to your parents for you. Make them feel bad. Although, my parents feel bad because I'm an atheist today. Doug's removed the internet lines being validated. Unfortunate. Only for certain people. Like, some people can't handle it. Like, my son can handle it, but I do think daughters struggle the most on average. But my daughter was wise too. Like she was not on any social media until maybe age 17. She's 20 now. But my daughter's very sensitive like my wife is. You put my daughter in the wrong home and she's totally screwed up. I truly believe this. I know these are harsh words. But I'm a big believer parenting makes a difference. I think I don't even have to guess about that. You can look at the statistics yourself. Good parenting makes a difference. No parenting makes a difference in a bad way. This is why, if you want a good society, you should have a mother and a father who can work together to raise good, productive members of society. Oh, let me add another thing. I got a new theory. Someone mentioned this, asked me about this the other day. But I'm starting to think that the best way to raise productive members of society is for the father to be an atheist and for the mother to be religious. Because it worked really well in our family. And it, like religion, we evolved with religion for a reason. And you can actually get the best of both worlds if the father and the mother are not equally yoked. What do you guys think about that? Now, a Christian is not likely to marry an atheist man, though. That's the problem. Unless you're really good looking or really rich. But for the kids who need this, like as Elyas said, the Muslim, as for the kids who need this threat of hell, you know, the mother, the Muslim mother, the Christian mothers, you know, got to be careful, Johnny. Like, God's watching. And you know, there's this place called hell, right? It's not very nice. And then, so in the back of the head, the kid's thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to be punished if I do this. And then, but then the father says, come on, there's no good reason to think hell exists. You'll be fine. I mean, there's no, you should be good for goodness sake and not because of the threat of hell or heaven. And so the kid goes, oh, okay, yeah, I should be good for goodness sake. Hell's probably not real, but mom might be right. I mean, the kid will actually grow up. If they need to do the right thing because of a threat, it's there. If they need to do the right thing because it's the rational thing to do, it's there. I mean, you got the best of both sides. What about being politically yoked? Yeah, I think in today's society, it is way more difficult to be politically unyoked than religiously unyoked. But maybe not. I don't know. Remember, there was, back in the early 2000s, there was that show on PBS, was it? McLaughlin. And there was like 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, 2 right, 2 left. And then there was a husband and wife. One was Republican. Was that Carville and his wife? Yeah, it was Carville, wasn't it? So it can work. How do farmers account for the uniformity of nature? They presuppose it. That's how. It's much easier to presuppose the uniformity of nature as a naturalist than it is as a Christian or a Muslim. Because if you're a Christian, you can say God is all-powerful and he can destroy the uniformity of nature for a moment to reverse entropy so a man can rise from the dead. If you believe in miracles, you can't believe in the uniformity of nature. I've had too much fun today. I wonder if this whole stream is going to be demonetized because I played Marvin Gaye for 20 seconds. We'll find out. Genuinely curious. This is how you should dress. This is how a nice lady dresses. Talking to you, genuinely curious. I bet you already dress this way, right? You got a light blue dress like this and a off-white top. See, this is what men like. Ask your fiance. They'll tell you. Yeah, Jerome, marry a Christian woman. My Christian wife was obedient and followed her man into atheism. Oh, you bad influence, ancient flames. Taking your wife to hell with you. Terrible. Goodbye, I won't be back. Well, I am so happy that Hotel Yugoslavia had the courteousness to let me know he'll never be back. We'll burn a candle in your honor. How long do we go, Myron? 3 hours, 20 minutes. Yeah, only rookies do less than that.